here's our price. We've paid with these men's lives.
Welcome. What is going on, chat? It's another episode 23, with our second series, which is Growing Up Islander with our people from New Zealand. So we have here, you know who I am, Big Husky. We got Pacific Chief, we got Cyrus, and we have the second boy. If you guys want, by all means, please introduce yourselves.
Gotta see. Sweet.
Take a
Ka
swing.
Sweet. Ka tia ki tēnei rā ka tuku ngā mihi kia tātou katoa. Ka tātou e rarau mai ana ki tēnei kaupapa te koropupu tuarua special episode. Whānau, we are getting interviewed by the VybeTrybe. Oh my God. You know, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. But yeah, this is one of 3 of your hosts on the second boil. Shout outs to each and everyone that's watching. Koinei a mātua native, aka the guy that talks way too much on the boil, and I'm gonna pass it on to the brick.
Yo, Axiom Ultra Mega here of the Ultra Megas, also the biggest tour in the Huaverse. I'd just like to thank the VybeTrybe for having us on. You know, some nobodies from the underneath there, and I'll chuck it, chuck it across to Choco.
Kia ora. Hi guys, my name is Choco. 1/3 of the second boil, and yeah, such a privilege to be here. When Cyrus asked me, I was a bit like, oh my god, like just little like we said, like little us like coming on to like your guys podcast. But I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you, Ngamihi.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. So when we created this series, we call it Growing Up Islander. We're gonna have different people from the life, who know about the lifestyle. So our first episode of the series was obviously Samoa, because we all just knew a bunch of people from the islands. But we try to keep it amongst the streaming community. So we brought on Ruto684 from Samoa. So it was able to relate the gaming and just educating us on what it's like to grow up in Samoa, because we're all born and raised in America.
Yep.
So there's a big disconnection between the Samoans at home and the Samoans here in the States, and so we were able to kind of mend that and stuff. So when we thought about New Zealand, immediately you guys were the first ones I thought of it immediately. Like I wasn't considering anyone else. I do have a brother from New Zealand. I work with him, and he was the only other person. But he like immediately I was like, oh, like the second boil, like, oh, that was easy.
Hey,
like,
shout out to your brother from New Zealand, my boy.
Privilege, bro.
What Cyrus is trying to not say is he wasn't good enough, which is messed up.
Oh, come on.
Of its sibling things, I suppose.
But yeah, Paul Wanira, if you're watching this, I love you, bro. But yeah, so I thought about you guys, and I try to keep it amongst the community. But yeah, throughout all the islands, for those that we can cover, that we're in touch with, we're gonna try to get everybody on.
That's cool.
So when we created this, it was just so, for those of us in America, they may not know a lot about New Zealand. They know small things. They try to say like Lord of the Rings, and they'll say the Hobbits, and then they'll say the All Blacks, and then you ask them about the people, and they have no idea. So
Yeah.
bringing you guys on, we really wanted to educate ourselves, and then also for all of our viewers, like I know you guys have a beautiful culture. I watch a lot of movies that come out of New Zealand. So I'm just like, man, like they're doing it right, like there's actors that look like me. And so
Aw,
so like loving
that's
that,
important.
I always thought like, New Zealand and even like Australia, like man, I'm like they do it right.
Yeah.
They really do it right. So no, we're really grateful that you guys joined us on this podcast.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah. But
Appreciate
you
you,
actually
man.
Yeah.
you hit
Ngā
like a
mihi,
really
thank you.
interesting point though, because growing up
Yeah.
Islander, like you just mentioned in the States, I wouldn't have a clue, like the same thing. Like
Yeah.
I would just assume
No
it'll be
idea.
like because I grew up in South Auckland. So South Auckland is probably like the biggest Polynesian city in the world. I think it still is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
it is.
it's just the melting pot of like all the islands which come with all the good things and also all the bad things. Like the
All
good
the
thing
good
like the
food.
food and also the bad thing like the food.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Pretty much.
Get the good and bad rap.
Yeah. I mean the food is good, but you end up fluffy. Like you know.
It's all good.
Yeah.
No, fluffy like
Yeah.
husky. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Ain't gonna lie, we well, these beautiful voluptuous figures that we have here in New Zealand, man.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ain't
but
nothing wrong with it.
what I do have to say, if you land in New Zealand and it is a Saturday morning, you must check out the Aotearoa flea market, the Aotearoa
Mm,
flea market, because
Oh,
you'll get a taste of everywhere there,
yeah.
guaranteed. So
Ooh.
I
if
don't
All the
there's
know.
something,
different.
there's
Okay.
something
Okay.
you're missing,
Mm.
if you want the Cook Island donuts or the Minus, they got you. You know, if you want
Ooh.
Oh,
Tongans,
hell yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
got you, and
Yeah.
it's every week. So that's just the one thing. But yeah, growing up as Maori, where do you want to start? Matua. I think you've got the
Yeah.
like
I think.
authentic, like
Ooh.
because we've
Yeah.
got varying degrees
Yeah,
Yeah.
of what's
let's
it like.
go.
Yeah.
Let's start with from when you were younger, in your younger days.
Younger
From
days.
as far as back as you can remember, either you were taught or
Yeah.
just coming face to face with certain terms with being Maori as a child.
Yeah.
If you all three of you, if you guys can just run through that.
Sure. So, like, I guess being Māori in Aotearoa, or in New Zealand, like, there's different experiences for different Māori. You know, there are those that were brought up urbanized, and then there were those of us that were brought up traditionally. Now, fortunately for myself, I was sort of brought up in both worlds. So I started off, being raised traditionally in Del Māori. Like, I was brought up on the marae. So, and big mahia to my grandmother. She's my greatest role model. Even though she passed away when I was 5, it was her that sort of embedded that Māori lifestyle into me when I was young.
Yeah.
So, one
Shout out to
thing
the
that
man.
shout out to
Yeah.
Nan, you
Yeah.
know, and so like with my grandmother, uh, she pretty much raised us up in a what's called a kohanga deal.
All right. And what's that?
So Kohanga Deal is like your kindergarten or your preschool for but the primary focus is learning our native language.
Right.
Okay.
So Te Reo Māori was a huge thing for us, and like I was fortunate enough to have that experience with me. But yeah, like it was, how would I put it? Like the Kohanga Deal was the initiative that was brought into play to try and revitalize our language,
Right.
because we probably had less than 5% of our Māori in our country that could actually speak to their Māori. So if you can imagine that, it's probably 1 in every 1,000, or yeah, like maybe more, that could
Right.
actually speak to their. Yeah. So uh yeah, my grandmother invested that her knowledge and her language into me and my cousins. Very few of us were able to sustain it right through until we became adults. So I guess you could say my grandparents, they had 14 children, and then they all had children, and then out of all of us, only 3 could speak Te Reo Māori.
Right.
So yeah, and in terms of cultural sustainability, like that's probably like the typical norm. Here in Aotearoa for a lot of families, you might be lucky enough to get 1 or 2 speakers amongst a family of extended family of say 100. So so that was my life traditionally, and then what we ended up moving into the township here where I stay, which is on the west coast of New Zealand, a place called Taranaki, and there, I was pretty much raised up in the hood, so we understood the struggle of from not having food to reaching out to the community to get support that way. So we knew what it was like to borrow milk. We knew what it was like to borrow sugar. We knew what it was like to borrow bread, and then we were doing the same for other households as well. You'd have kids on the street that will come and stay over, and play all your video games and play with all your toys, break all your toys, and then you do the same thing. You'll go over to their house and play all of their video games and break all of their toys. Yeah.
Or like they're friends with your Mega Drive.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was the urban lifestyle that I learned growing up. Throughout what we call primary school. I think it's elementary school. We use is that
Yeah,
and
I think
then
so.
and then moving on into like junior high and then high school as well. We call it intermediate and high school or college here here in New Zealand. So yeah, between I was able to maintain that balance between living a humble life, growing up in the hood, and living a traditional life or cultural life, growing up on the marae. And was able to fuse it together to become a Māori teacher. And so now, I guess, as an adult, my greatest passion is working with youth. Currently I'm a Te Reo Māori teacher. Not only teaches the language, but all our traditional practices as well, especially the food ones.
I'm
I love
gonna
the food
interrupt
one.
him again, like I usually do. As a teacher, so I really cannot stress as a teacher. You know what this guy done? So his department at school gets $1,000 a year budget.
Yeah, which is
His
shameful.
entire
Yeah.
department. Yep, a year. That's how much they don't really give a F. But you know what he went and done? He went and got funding to get the entire class, gaming computers so that they could learn digital literacy at school on his own.
Hell yeah.
I gotta sing his praises all the time, and he hates it, but do it all the time.
Man, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Hey.
And can I also just interrupt you, Masa?
Yeah. I showed my daughter his lesson plan, and she wanted to go to his school in his class.
Yeah. Masa, you're muted on our side, just by the way.
Oh,
like they can't hear it. Yeah, no one can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah,
let's keep it a secret now. Everything I was said, it's a secret now.
He said all the naughty words about me interrupting him.
Oh
Not
my
a
god.
problem.
Yeah. You can carry on now. You gloss it over. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I guess now I guess my priority is creating a future focus for our youth. But so they're still able to retain their traditional practices, but at the same time become fluent in the more contemporary lifestyle. So moving forward, they have skills in areas where they can get into employment, but still hold themselves, with pride culturally. Yeah. So and then they set the pathway for the next generation to be able to, fuse both worlds, both the cultural aspect and the I guess the more future focus aspect. Yeah. So that's pretty much everything in a nutshell for me. That's my aspiration. That's what I do. That's what I love. And besides that, I guess it's just been with these guys. I love working with Ngati Gaming, dedicated to the revitalization of our language through gaming.
Right.
So cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and also promoting our culture through podcasts like The Second Boil. So yeah, that's my lifestyle in a nutshell, pretty much.
Oh,
That is
and
amazing.
So we can
Cool.
like carry on.
what about you two?
Yes.
You
So
can go, Axie.
So,
So
what was
I
life
done-
like when you were a child?
yeah, so I done a bit of the reverse. So my earliest memories were of Mongare. So that is a
Mm.
suburb in South Auckland, and that would have been like the mid to late 80s. So to give an idea of the times, I think I was discussing this to Cyrus while I was streaming. Around those times, there was a bit of a stigma in New Zealand created by the government against islanders.
Right.
So that was basically their stigma that they created. Like we had the economic boom, we had our cousins come over, and when they had the recession, basically they became the target of, it's all their fault. Da, 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 da. And so by the time the 80s hit, it was a bit uneasy. Like it was a bit uneasy. But I was a child and I was naive of that, but I know it at the time. But we did coexist. There was some when you think of New Zealand at that time, you would imagine like all the stuff we get is from the States. So hip hop music, all of that stuff, and then
Right.
some of the youth at the time would try and mirror the lifestyle. So like the youth gang stuff started creeping in. It wasn't until like the 90s where we started finding our own identities.
Okay.
Started remembering our roots. But like for me as a child growing up, I was in I was a suburban lifestyle, but Mangere is what you would consider a hood, not
Right.
the hood. For there are many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but and it still is probably today. But what you got to say about the hood is like, as much as we may fight amongst ourselves and look at each other, when shit hits the fan, we know how to come together, right?
Right.
So like, we're the first ones to open our doors, and that's just the way it is. So like, even during the housing crisis we had, the first places to open the doors were marae. So
Yeah.
just trying to go against that whole stigma of polys are like because they'll and this was what it was like growing up too. They'll look at you being brown, think you weren't very smart. You
Yeah.
couldn't you won't amount to anything, and all of that. So even to the point where teachers would even make bets,
Right.
or even
Oh, damn.
Yes,
Right.
we know.
Yeah.
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 would make bets of whether or not you'd finish.
Mm.
So, but that was coming out
Wow.
of the stigmas of like the 80s, because I'm not if you were while Matu was explaining, our Maori culture nearly died.
Yeah.
Nearly died out there. But thanks to the Queen, Te Tairangi Kahu, she put in place the building blocks for Kohanga Deal. So growing up at this time, there was a lot of that around. They'll just look at you in the shops, and that was Mangere when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Moved to Manurewa, still a lot of the same sort of thing. But then I moved to the far north, so I done opposite of this guy, and moved to a rural area. Which, to be fair, we had the least money that we ever had, but I never felt richer.
Yeah.
In terms of food and
Yeah.
community and all of that stuff. So, like, by the time I left the far north, I would have been about 15. We had a deep freezer full of like meat, fish, everything. My parents, they worked for orchards, so fruit and veg were just there. So and that term and in that way we were blessed.
Right.
So like we never had to go without food. We never had to we could, like, if we had family come up, they had nothing, we would load them up before they go back to Auckland. Here's this, or something's happening like a big family reunion. We were able to slaughter like a beast or a cow and send it down food for the people. So that's So that at that time, I'd say was like our richest. Like I felt wealthy until we moved back to Auckland, and I realized how much we actually have to pay for some of the stuff we were eating. Oh my god!
Actuals.
Having a look in, like I'm realizing I'm eating $30 worth of meat just for myself. Holy moly!
Can I just quickly butt in on that just to support the boost? So, just to paint a picture in your head, like, if you can imagine the average mainstream high school here in New Zealand consists of say like 900 students. Of those 900 students, okay, probably the average number of Māori students that would finish high school is about between 10 and 15. And then the average number of Māori kids that would move on to tertiary study, so in, either in university or what you call college, the average is 2. So
Wow.
to crunch some numbers together, like in terms of an average mainstream school where Māori is successful, that's pretty much ideally what the numbers look like.
Yeah, the ironic thing too, is like during the 60s, 70s, parts of the 80s, university used to be free.
Yeah.
Used to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah, until my generation or like my older cousins started coming through, and then you had to pay. So that really doesn't help either. Yeah, so schooling wise, the difference between South Auckland, because we had like every culture you could think of, to be honest. Like there'll be heavy Thai, Vietnamese, you got your Tongan, Samoan, got Fiji, Tokelau, Rarotonga, and it was just a big melting pot of everyone. So you got to know a bit of everything from everyone. We got our Indian cousins there, going to school, and then when I moved to the far north, it was like just Pākehā and Māori. It was a bit jarring going from that to just that single culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be honest though, like when I mention like the early days where they sort of honestly, the government at the time was really good at turning us against like our own cousins, like our own whānau. So we're all people of the moana, of the Pacific, and they tried to turn us against our cousins. We should have had our cousins back, but they even got us believing it as well. Like you have a look at some footage in the 1960s, the way we spoke and everything was so, I'd say, colonized. It was like colonized. But fast forward to the 2000s now, it's just like it's a lot better. I mean, there's still some remnants of like, it happens everywhere. If you're in this area, you're red. If you're in that area, you're blue. But that's not as prominent as say the 90s and the 2000s. But now there's a huge revival, and like everyone's cultures like now are celebrated.
Oh, nice.
Everyone's cultures are celebrated. There's a week for all the cultures, and everyone gets in on it, and you do learn a lot, especially through the city when they had their weeks there. Like I learned a whole lot about Tokelau from like Vils and Claim, and they just have them all. It's just awesome. Anyway, I'll let Choco do her version.
So I'm a bit younger, a little bit, a lot younger. So I kind of got the aftermath of what what these guys went through.
It's okay.
So,
it's okay. I'm 20 years younger than Big Husky.
So I'm a 90s kid, right?
See their faces like
I got a little bit of the aftermath, and so like actually I was brought up in Auckland, West Auckland to be exact. I grew up on the west side. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, that's where I grew up. But I was also lucky enough as a kid that I got to go home a lot. And when we talk about home, we talk about Aotearoa. So Aotearoa kind of means the land. maybe Vato can go into this more directly, but the land that our ancestors come from or that we connect to. So is that yeah. So I hope this helps understanding. Yeah.
That was spot on.
That was perfect.
Yeah, so so I was lucky enough when I was a kid to actually go home quite a bit and reconnect. None of my, so like I actually said, like te reo Māori, it was lost, and so therefore my grandparents didn't speak te reo Māori, and so therefore I never got taught, and my mum and dad, they never got taught either, and their grandparents, so my great grandparents.
Right.
Pretty much it was just like smashed out of them. Like that's just the simplest way to put it, because
that's right.
not a lot of people know or understand that like other countries, New Zealand was also colonized, and we also although we've progressed a lot and we've done a lot of great things and we've moved forward in a lot of great ways, there are still parts of our history that has affected me like years later. So as a kid, I was disconnected in that way. I didn't speak te reo Māori, and but I was lucky enough to go home and experience what it was like for months on end to grow up on a marae. And if you guys don't know what a marae is, it's kind of like, actually, Mato, you can explain better because I won't do it justice. So if you want to explain a marae.
Okay, so a marae. A marae is like it's the, how would you call it? It's like a family homestead. You know, that all the extended families are able to come back to and pretty much be a family together. So you know, it's that family community where we all can gather. Usually, we use it as a meeting ground for like extended families going back generations, so that we get we'll always remember who we are and where we come from.
Right.
So you know, what we do is we have photos that are pretty much situated all around what we call the wharenui, or the meeting house. Within the wharenui, it's what it does is it has family trees of all the connected families that go back to go back multiple generations. So you will have like this woman and this man, and then they'll have family lines that'll branch off, and that just goes to show how we connect to those people. So that's one example. We've also got a wharekai, which is my favorite place on the marae. Thank you very much.
Me too.
So
that's
both
my
where
favorite and not favorite. The part where you eat, favorite. The part at the back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna guess the kitchen.
Yeah,
and it was pretty close.
The kitchen.
You said your favorite place. I was like, it would have been mine.
I like mine too right now.
Honestly,
and the dining room.
Honestly, if you don't know the Cuzzies, it's the best way to get to know them, because you're all at the back doing the with the wet detail. It's like a job that doesn't end.
So like I was lucky enough as a kid to go back there. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to be connected in that way. Mostly experiencing doing dishes on end, like all the work, all the mahi. But yeah, super grateful that I was able to experience that. But when I would come back home, back to Auckland, West Auckland, I would always feel disconnected. And I think this is what a lot of kids my age would have experienced. Well, I know a lot of my friends that were Māori growing up. I'm not too sure if you guys heard of like internalized racism before.
Yes.
So it's so it's essentially like I was growing up hating my own people. Yeah. So gotcha. Yeah, essentially just growing up hating who I was, where I came from, like my people essentially, because I didn't recognize or understand the beauty, which was probably like one of the saddest things for me growing up. And that's because I did experience like negative I experienced like a negative things, and that was being surrounded by a lot of like drugs, alcohol, gangs in both good and bad ways. So I started like, I don't want to be like my people, because that's what I was seeing, not seeing the beautiful sides of our culture. So therefore I hated myself and my culture. So from like I don't know what this age group is for you, but like junior high, I'm guessing, or primary school. From primary school all the way up until like the last year of high school,
Yeah.
I just didn't say that I was Māori. I would be like, oh,
Okay.
I'm a Kiwi. For those of you in America, it might seem like a compliment, but it's kind of not. Yeah. So I I disconnected myself from that part of who I am.
To be fair, you are
And
bombarded with those messages, even through media. Anything bad, it's always Maori or
mm,
Polynesian, or you're on the they're looking for a suspect, Maori, Polynesian. You're just constantly bombarded with those sort of
yeah,
messages, and even when
and the
someone's
media.
even when someone's doing well, right? They're Kiwi. Like
Yeah,
Taika Waititi,
actually, Taika
he's
Waititi. Do you,
Kiwi.
if you guys, yeah,
But
yeah,
if he were to fuck up and get caught with like drugs or something, he's Māori.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh damn.
he's a famous
Okay.
director, so he's
Wow.
Kiwi.
I'm not
Wow.
sure if you guys know who
Yeah.
Taika Waititi is. The guy
Yes,
that,
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Director,
I'm
yeah.
I'm rooting for him
Yeah.
hard. I'm
Oh,
rooting
yeah.
for him.
Yeah.
He's dope.
I'm
He's
rooting
dope.
for him.
That's basically what you get, hey. So like that's why Choco's story sort of shapes out like that, because
Yeah.
you do see it all the time. You're getting those messages, and then we end up believing it. Carry on, Choco. Sorry.
But yeah, essentially that's exactly what he meant. Like I was influenced by media and then also my own personal experiences. And I guess when you're in that like high school age or as a kid, you're kind of like rebellious. I don't know. I was anyway. I was a naughty little kid.
Yeah, I was
So
also
therefore,
the can't tell me what to do.
yeah, pretty much. So therefore, that was my experience as a kid. And I'll leave it there because I'm guessing you guys have further questions about. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the more you want to
man,
explain, by all means.
Yeah.
Like you,
Oh,
most
yeah,
likely,
this is
whatever
for
you guys, tell,
This is for you.
whatever you're gonna tell us, most likely it's gonna answer the questions we have anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So feel
Okay.
free to go off.
Okay. So
You
yeah,
got any parallels over there in the States too? Like
yeah.
things that'll be
We-
like the same.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll just flip it. We'll flip
Okay,
it.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, let's go.
please. Yeah.
All right, Husky, go.
Oh no, sorry.
so-
Go ahead, Ziggo.
So my question was, what was it like being Maori, as a child and growing up? So I'm also a '90s baby.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So growing up, pretty much you don't know your identity until later in life. Like you don't me, Husky, and Chief, we're all Samoan. And so you're Samoan, but you don't know the beauty behind it. Like you, just like how Chaco said, like you don't understand what it is to be a Samoan, or just what it is to be poly. You don't understand that we, now, like we come. I spoke to another guy I did an interview with, and there's 7.6 billion people in the world, and only 2 million Samoans in the world. Yet we influence the way we do. I didn't understand that, and I would have never understand that as a child. So going to school, as a kid, coming from where I come from, I'm from a city called Santa Ana. It's Southern California. Probably like an hour east of LA, or probably less than that. I kind of experienced a little racism, being that there's a stigma that a certain people in America, like they're the only ones who are racist and whatever. But all the racism I experienced was coming from everybody with the same color skin as me, or just all the different, and it's just like how you said, like everybody clashes. There's so many of us, when you go to California, it's like the United Nations just started in California and just branched because everybody is of a different ethnic background and stuff. So growing up, I didn't really understand that. I was doing all the cultural things, but I wasn't appreciating it as much. And then as I got older, I had a really rough life. My father was locked up. My mom wasn't around, so my grandparents raised me. But in the past, my family comes from a gang, and so when I have nothing else to look up to, or when I thought I had nothing else to look up to, that's who I chose to look up to. And so I made all the bad decisions. I was on the streets for all the wrong reasons. Made all my mistakes. I made them young. And then eventually my life just turned around. And it wasn't until I moved out here in Las Vegas, where I live now, really, really reconnecting with my father, my biological father. And he's actually a chief back in the islands. And so, going from being in prison, and then he was deported back to Samoa. And then when he went there, he was like, if I'm going to make the second chance, of freedom, if I'm going to come out, I'm going to make it count. And so he really kind of fully dove into the culture. So I can go back and tell you who I'm related to about like 17 generations. I
Wow.
can
Nice.
tell you where our last name comes from, like how it was created. I can tell you like a lot of these things that stem back like thousands of years that my family was a part of. So just because I reconnected with I was
How
always
did
connected
you
to my dad.
How did you feel when you're remaking those connections? 'Cause it's a different type of feeling, eh?
Oh,
Like how
it's
when you
like
reconnect, it just hits you different. Like when we call it whakapapa, when you're taking the whakapapa journey, it just hits you
Yeah.
different, like just
yeah.
making those
That's
connections. So how did that feel for you, bro? Like just
Um, it was like realizing that my eyes are open and I'm still not awake. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
that
no,
makes
that
perfect sense. That's why I laugh. Yeah.
that's a good description.
Yeah, it's like, you're just, you want to go for a walk and your eyes are open and you're just going for a walk because you feel like you're programmed that way to just do that. And then something just, switches on. And that's how I felt when my dad was like, oh, this is where we come from. This is who this is. This
Amazing.
is who this is.
Yeah.
Because for those who don't know, back in the islands, you receive a title. So when you become a chief, they give you a second name. They give you a name that the chiefs call each other. So they people can choose to keep their name or how it is, or they want to be like, okay, from now on, I don't want to use my first name ever. You call me by this name.
Is that
So
like the Matai?
yeah. So the Matai
Yeah.
system. So when they
Yeah.
talk to each other, they acknowledge each other by their Matai name.
Nice.
And then also they don't speak Samoan the way the rest of us speak Samoan. So
Yeah.
when the chiefs talk, they talk in like almost like a code.
It's a formal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like normal words normal word, or so how we say knife in Samoan, which is it's kind of colonized, but we just say knifey because it sounds like knife. But in chief, you say polo. So when you speak, you have to say words a different way. So when two chiefs are talking to each other and somebody slips up and starts talking regular, every chief in attendance has a right to stand up and tell the guy, like, sit down, like you have no idea what you're talking about. And you standing up there on behalf of the family, it's like disrespectful for you to think that you could stand in this place and show our, tell our story. Yeah. And then you messed up, like that's a problem. Like that's a problem amongst the chiefs.
Yeah.
So those are things for like, even like Samoans don't know that. Like like I said, like growing up in the States, like not a lot of us speak Samoan. My Samoan is extremely broken. Like I can sit there and like with my mom and I can speak half Samoan, half English, or just speak English all the way through, and everything she says to me is still in Samoan. And she'll be like, "Oh, I'm glad you understand like completely, but I want you
amazing.
I want you here. I want you where I'm at." But
I think
Yeah.
it's amazing, like in terms of the similarities there with
Yeah, that's what
Māori.
I was just about to say.
So we have what's called a pai, right?
Yeah.
The
And so
pie.
yeah,
Yeah.
or the pai, and then so on the pai, we have who we call our formal speakers that speak in te reo ōkawa. So te reo ōkawa are those ones that have the ability to be able to speak, but it's more like a poetic style of te reo Māori, and that's very Shakespearean reo that is only, I guess, entrusted to those who have the capacity to be able to speak te reo Māori in that format. But then you have te reo ōpaki, which is your informal reo, which is very similar to your transliterated words and your chair bro, chair kazi, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
type of Māori language. So I hear you, man. I hear you in terms of the chieftain language being spoken. Yeah, we have
Mm,
very similar traditions here in Aotearoa as well.
So
yeah.
one thing I did
Definitely.
notice about like say like specifically Samoans in New Zealand, since we're a lot closer, I think they do sort of have like a somewhat of a connection, like so like whenever they meet each other, it's always, oh, what village are you from, and all of that kind of stuff. Is it
Right.
the same there? Do you know, or is
It's
it
what you
just varying degrees?
here in America. It's what's your last name.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
yeah.
so.
Mhm.
But the thing is, it's such a small world for us here, being poly, specifically Samoan,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because you meet somebody,
Yep.
pretty much okay in Santa Ana where I'm from. I know everybody. Like I know every Samoan that lives in Santa Ana. That's just because I come from Santa Ana. But the second I meet somebody who's like not or you're just unfamiliar with, you ask them where they're from as far as what city they're from.
Mm.
Then you ask them what their last name is, and then
Yeah.
usually like 10 different people pop in your head with that last name, and they're like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
know."
I know.
And you name all 10
Yeah.
people, and then that
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
they'll be like, "Oh, that's my cousin," and so all of a sudden now you guys are
Yeah.
cool. Like that's
Mm.
Yeah.
exactly how it is out here.
Oh
So
Yeah,
my
it's
god,
it's
that's
the
Oh,
same
funny.
here too. When you meet like another Maori, it's where you're from and
Yeah.
what's your
yeah.
last name. But
Yeah.
you don't ever say so. Like I have my brother. So like I'm just going to share this story because I've never been so embarrassed in my life, and I'll share it. So like we met at Kaumatua. So like we went over to a mate's house, and his grandfather was there. So he walks in, and typical Kaumatua. They all like, hi to my, come in, da da da, and then you go in, and then he asks us where we're from, and then my brother, yeah, no, this isn't Tradoc. My brother shoots straight out of his mouth, Sydney. When a Kaumatua asks you where you're from, he's asking like, where you from back home, not 42 Wallaby Way,
Oh, all
Sydney.
right.
Wallaby Way. When you have the Kaumatua asking you, you don't say you're from Sydney, mate. But yeah, so like the thing was
Yeah.
like, mate, you're from Sydney. Then we told him we're Waikato, and then we found out those last names, and turns out we're from the same marae, just
Oh,
from
Oh
knowing
cool.
the
wow.
last
Oh,
name. Yeah. So
Man,
yeah,
that's
mm.
awesome.
we ended up being very closely related just by knowing,
Yeah.
where you from? Port
Mm.
Waikato. Oh yeah, we're from Port Waikato. What's your last name? It was Clark, and they all come from the same line in Marae down Port Waikato. I was like, oh, so that's how we knew we were like really closely related, just like that,
Yeah.
from
Wow.
Mm.
and
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
Komato is like elder, which is
yeah,
elder, like
Yeah.
a
Oh, okay.
yeah,
respected elder. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
usually the line of power goes, I don't know, and yours is like the nannies, and
Mm.
then the
Yeah.
papas. The nannies hold the
Yeah.
power.
Right.
Actuals.
Yeah.
They run the place. They put the fear into you. No.
Uh,
Yeah.
then I think that's where we all
Actuals.
relate.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where we all
Yeah.
relate at that
Oh,
point.
Yeah.
It's the same way here.
yeah.
Shout
When a
outs to
nan
the
tells
name
you to
once
do
again.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
Oh,
if
no.
if she's if
Mm.
she's not happy, the whole day's ruined.
That's it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Actuals.
Oh.
Um. But back to what we were saying for Husky.
Yeah.
your situation growing up. So we even though we're all Samoan and we all grew up in America, we actually all have 3 different stories
Yeah.
that come with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So, Husky, if you can
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I got you. But first I was gonna say, to kind of tag along with what Cyrus was saying, it's funny because I've never met Cyrus until 2020.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I've never met him at all.
You
And
would have thought
so,
we knew each other our whole lives.
yeah,
But no,
and,
I have like
yeah,
a year.
yeah. And so, come to find
relate.
out, yeah,
Totally can
Cyrus,
Yeah.
Cyrus knows like some of the people that I know, and I met him
Mm.
through one of my cousins, and you know, as time went on, we started talking more and more off stream, and you know, started DMing in Instagram. So long story short, we come to find out that as he's taking this journey to learning the culture and learning the
Yeah.
background of the names, his last name, um, he finds out that we are actually related.
We're related.
We're related.
And I've never met him in my life.
Yeah.
And
So
it's not that far back. It's only
Yeah.
like 2 generations.
yeah.
Wow.
So it was just it
Crazy.
was it was so funny to find that out. You know,
Yeah.
just talking
Yeah.
about how
Mm.
you know everybody, and then when you don't run into somebody, you know, the first thing you ask is what is your last name, and then that's what you
Yeah.
go off of. So yeah,
Mm.
that was like
Yeah.
probably one of the funniest moments that we've had.
Yeah, it was a big
Mm.
domino effect that kind of led me into figuring it out. So like how I said my grandfather raised me. When he passed away, like he was like a really renowned chief, and so
Yeah.
many people came out, and you know, we're just like, you know, there's people just paying their respects. But a certain family showed up, which was the Te'o family. And they, you know, they're just like, oh yeah, we were looking for this old man for years, because my grandmother and his mom are sisters. Well, it turns out the Te'o family is big Husky in them, and obviously my great grandmother, you know, it just connected like that, and that was in 2011. Fast forward to 2020 when I find out who his cousin is, and it's just going
Yeah.
back and forth. And then that I asked Husky, like, Husky, like, are you a Te'o? And he was like, yeah, my mom was a Te'o. And I was like, bro, like, you do know we're
That's
family.
crazy.
Like, bro, you do know we're family,
Yeah.
right? And like, I have like a whole list that goes back, but
Yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
just the generation above us, my
Mhm.
grandparents, and then right above them. That's where me and
Wow.
Husky
Yeah,
were.
it was just, it was just
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's insane. And I've
So
never met this man in my life.
I have to ask all 3 of yous because it was brought up in our chat, but I was
Yep.
thinking on the same lines. So when it comes to say you as men, you know, trying to have a conversation with a Samoan woman and you're like,
perfect.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, you don't.
want to figure
You
out.
don't.
No.
You don't. That's the
Yeah.
answer.
You're gonna be related at some
No.
point. You're gonna be related. The
Yeah.
first thing
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
is like for me, growing up, I probably dated one or two here or there, but never really done anything. But as
don't
I
have to
kept
lie.
getting, no, shut your face.
You don't have to lie.
No, but as I got older, like you know, my cousins, you know, they got more attracted to Samoan ladies, and so I'm like, you know, hey, you know, you guys do you. For me, I was always thinking we're related, and I don't want to have any kind of relations with any
Yeah.
Samoan girl. Come to find out later on, oh, that was my cousin. I'm like, yeah, no, no.
Nope.
Getting
So,
the old C block on the
so for me, the first thing that we would do is we would find out what their last name is, and then take that straight to my grandma, and then
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's not enough,
and then my
yeah,
grandma
sometimes
would
it's
That's
not
Yeah.
enough.
smart.
Yeah.
yep, then she would break down.
That's smart.
Oh, who's
Yeah.
their mom? Who's their dad? Oh,
Yeah.
they're
Right, yeah.
this person.
Definitely.
Okay, and then this is their
Yeah.
grandma. This is their grandpa. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the family from this island, and we know them from these people. I'm like, okay, yeah, good thing I didn't even try anything.
Just to be
Right.
clear, the lines aren't even clear, even if you go for other islands too. 'Cause
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In New Zealand, there's a
Exactly.
connection to Tahiti and Tauranga. which we
Yeah.
whakapapa back to.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
dang.
So
as
wow.
much.
well.
Yeah.
So
The
on the
connection
west
is
coast of
crazy.
New Zealand, on Taranaki, there is a connection to Rarotonga. So
Yeah.
when we speak Māori, like we have a particular dialect that is very close to the islands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and like
Can even
so one
understand Tongan to a certain degree too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
one of the
So
islands
true.
in the Cook Islands is called Mangaya, and there's a place name here in New Zealand that's called Manaya. So you know, it's like no, we're very conscious in terms of our you know, our close connections with our Pacific Island cousins as well. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, we all have the same
Yeah. No one's
ancestors.
safe.
yeah,
No one
We
is
all
We all
safe.
have the
same
same ancestors.
yeah.
You gotta be
Oh,
careful out
how
here.
do you do your
Mm.
family trees? So like to us, right?
Mhm.
So if they're my parents' generation, that'll be your mum and dad, and
Mhm.
everyone else in their generation's auntie, uncle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the next one up is always, and it doesn't matter which line they come off, is nan, granddad, and then grand
Yeah.
auntie, grand uncles, and then just the same, just goes generational cousins if they're all the same sort of age group. You know, cousin.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
good
Same
thing
way.
with you
Yeah,
don't
same
remove
way.
family from your whakapapa. That's like our idea. We
Mhm.
don't do this remove stuff.
Oh yeah, we don't do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
definitely we
don't
don't do
remove family.
that.
As much as some of them deserve to be sometimes, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely don't do that. Yeah.
You can imagine they're not there, but yeah.
Yeah, even like for the grandparents,
Uh,
like if they have brothers and sisters, those are just
Mm.
uncle and auntie as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we go about it.
Pretty much.
Mm.
Solid. Yeah. So I see more things in common. The nan's rule and everyone's auntie, uncle, cousin, until you know better, right?
Yep.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
We
and we
actually
can't
got
be
another
from the
question.
same island.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we have so much similarities. This from chat
Go
and
for it.
culture. What's the funniest? I don't know if you guys call this a hiding or a beating. We call it, I think you guys call it a beating. What's
Oh,
your
man.
funniest beating or hiding? If you want to talk about it,
Yeah.
you've received.
So
we call it a
it's
hiding.
very bad, but we
Well,
laugh about it afterwards. Eh?
Mm.
Well, I
Oh,
was definitely in pain when it happened.
Yeah.
Also, chat shut up about the fireball. Carry on.
Oh man,
We just
there were so many.
that was.
Can
I don't know
relate.
if I'd call them funny.
Yeah,
Can relate.
I deserved
they're
every
not.
one of them too. I might point out. I always point out. I deserved every one of them that I got.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
my God.
growing up, my family kind of I'm the oldest, or I'm one of the top 3 oldest of grandchildren, and so it's my brother, my cousin, and then me. So we're the oldest 3 boys, and so what happened was they looked at us as we look over our cousins and siblings and that, and so whatever we do, we get in trouble as a group. So if one messes up, everybody messed up.
Right.
So
That's how my Auntie Blanche did it.
yeah, I guess it made sense to them, but in the long run, I was like, what the hell? So we're walking home from school, and one of our uncles is picked us up. So in Long Beach, there's these trains, the metro trains that just go by really fast, and so we crossed one. And when my uncle wasn't looking, we ran to the tracks, grabbed rocks, and then placed them on the tracks. And so when the train comes by, it just slices the rocks. So I didn't know he saw it, but I guess one of the rocks had broke a window. I don't remember if it was a car or a house. So we got home and we got straight to the backyard, and he was like, "Boys, line up." So lined up like soldiers. And so we're wondering what's about to happen, because we're just sitting there like this, and he has a big beard and he's just walking back and forth. Has one hand on his back, one hand on his beard, just walking back and forth. And he goes, "You guys know what happened today?" And we're like, "No, what happened?" So without a hesitation, he turned and then just a quick backhand slapped all 3 of us at the same time.
Oh shit!
Oh, not the 300.
I think I think we got
50 points, 50 points, 50 points.
High score.
that was probably that wasn't the worst
I
beating, but
thought we
that
got a
was
free
like one of
man
the
for
fun.
that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Hey,
that was
what's
probably
that?
one of the funniest
Make a
ones.
combo breaker.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, I've never been slapped so fast, and it was just just straight out of nowhere. Oh my god, that was probably one of the funniest ones. The worst
Right.
one, again, like I said, if one of us does bad, we all get it. So we had moved to Washington, and then my brother, he was my older brother. He was playing with the like tweezers, and so he happens to stick the tweezers inside of one of the sockets, and it blew out the outlet, and it shut the power off in the house.
Oh,
Ooh.
I was nowhere near there, so he was in the room. My aunt was yelling. She was like, "What's going on?" She started cussing us out. My mom comes in. She was okay, boys, go shower. Did not think that
oh,
shower was coming with a belt. So
oh,
as soon as we turn on the
yeah.
water, start showering, she opens and just bam, bam, just start
Bam.
whooping us really bad. And I was mad because I was like, I didn't do
Bare ass
anything.
cheeks.
Bare ass cheeks. I was like, I didn't do anything. What the hell?
He was like,
But,
Mom.
yeah, it is what it is. I took it.
Oh my god.
That's all those ones. What about you? What you guys
Yeah,
have?
my
Okay.
worst was because I broke a chandelier. Oh, sorry, I broke a chandelier at our house. It's like a
I thought you were gonna say a
fancy.
chandel.
Oh my god. Yeah, and my papa just gave me a really big hiding, like for it, like through, like it was weird because we had like because I did the washing, and like he had a rugby ball in his room, and he kind of like threw the rugby ball at me first.
Mhm.
Oh no, so what happened is I threw the rugby ball inside, and they kept telling me all day, stop throwing the ball inside, stop throwing the ball inside, you're gonna break something. And I was like, nah, it's fine, like we'll be fine, right? And then I broke the freaking chandelier, and then and then he made me go do the washing. So he's like, go do the washing, like gave me a growling, and then he made me go do the washing. So I went and did the washing, brought it inside, I had the basket in my hand, he threw the rugby ball at me, and like gave me like a full on hiding, and I mean like full on hiding.
Oh.
And then he made me stand there crying, folding the washing.
Oh,
So yeah, that was probably one of the
crazy.
worst. But yeah.
I guess for mine, like it wasn't any one particular hiding. It
Yeah.
was always all of them, and like why I said it is because there were no items involved. But then I look at the size of my old man's hands, and then I think that
Them
like
bare mitts.
why would he even need something in his hand when he can just literally use them, and they look like solid boulders. And I
So
was
the
like,
thing is about that generation, that generation, their hands are like rocks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because of their
Oh, yeah.
lifestyle
So
growing up, their hands are like
yeah,
rocks.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got
yeah.
like a little visitor on screen.
Oh,
So-
It's all
real.
good.
So there's real male calloused hands that
Yep.
look like they've been through the grind. Yeah. So like, even the biggest thing that used to always scare me the most, it wasn't even his hands, it was his face when he tuck in his lip. So
Oh.
my father, every time that he was ready to react,
lip.
he would always tuck in his lip, and I was like, I'm out of here. So like I'll try and bolt it as soon as I seen that lip tuck in. But then, as big as my father was, he was very quick. I could never get away. So yeah, like I was do one of two things: tuck and cover, or take the beating. And either
Yeah.
way, there was never a
was
good
all.
outcome.
It was coming.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was never a good outcome. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, 9 times
Surprising.
out of 10, I deserved it.
Oh, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
I think that's the thing,
It
eh?
feels like
Like,
yeah, it feels like
Mm.
if my parents gave me a kick up the ass as soon as I woke up, I would have deserved it. By the end of the day, I would have deserved it. Like honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
I was a little shit. Like I
yeah.
was a little shit, had authority issues, and thought I knew everything.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
so yeah, this particular hiding I got, and this was just like, okay, I don't ever back chat normally, but like it was something over. So I was
Mm.
packing off the
Yeah.
table, doing the dishes, putting everything away. My mum comes in and she was like, moaning about the way it was put in. And like, okay, backchat gets a backhand anyway, but it's just the way I said it. Like she moaned about us, oh, how do you want it in there? Alphabetical order. And then that was enough on its own. So she went and grabbed the you know that thing, right? You sharpen the knives with?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, so
what?
she went to go to town and hitting me with that. But the problem was, let's see, how old would I have been? I would have been about 12 then. And I'd been in martial arts since I was 13, so I never raise a hand against my parents ever. I mean, but you can't not block when you've been conditioned to. So as soon as it comes over, my hand's going up, boom, and then that
Oh
made it
my
worse.
god.
That made it worse. That
Yeah,
made it
I
worse.
can
And then
imagine.
like every time she went to go on the swinging, like, and I'm doing this without even thinking. Like I'm like, no, 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 like blocking.
Right.
Bro, I'm just making it worse for myself to the point where I'm out the back kitchen door, right? So like, there's the main house, and then I had to sleep out, and I was like out the main back door, whacking me and blocking all the way down to where my sleep out was, and she just
Oh
kept
my
going
gosh.
into the sleep out, and like by the end of that whole thing, the final blow was a radio that was on fire being thrown at me.
Oh.
Hadouken.
Oh man.
Oh wow. You got
And this
hit
can be
like Ken from
confirmed.
Street Fighter, just
Yeah. I took that, yeah, I was wow. I got the wow.
My god.
Oh man.
And like
Man.
when I first told the story in chat, like chat was like Cap, that's Cap, but then my brother just happened to be in there, and he shares more details that I've glossed over because it's even more embarrassing. So yeah, I got a Hadouken radio. Oh.
Oh man, that's rough.
Man.
What about you, Chief? Surely
Yeah, what you got,
you've
Chief?
had some stories.
Mine's just like it's one of those beatings where you come home and you know something's wrong, but you don't know what's wrong, so you're just like
Yeah, I thought.
just like looking around like what's going on, and then I knew my dad was gonna beat me, so I try to go up to my dad, joking like, "Hey, Dad, how's your day? How was work?" And he's washing the dishes and not wanting to talk to me. I was like, "Oh man." And then he turns around, he's like, "You know what you did today?" I was all like, "No," and then just a quick old backhand, and I
Oh.
fall on my ass, and then I slide across the floor, and my nose is bleeding. I was like, "I don't know what I did, but I'm pretty sure I deserved it." He's
I'm
like,
pretty sure I'm
get
sorry
up."
too.
He said, "Get up, we're done."
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh.
He touched his nose and was like, "Bah!"
One more, please.
Oh.
Oh,
Did you ever find out what you did?
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't think I wanted to know what I did.
I might
KO!
remind him of it and get a round 2 fight.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm older now, Dad.
Man, but those are the worst ones in my opinion. Like when you feel like it's coming, but you don't know what you did, so
Yeah.
and you're like thinking about it.
Tiptoeing on
Yeah.
glass, just like, what's going on here?
And the thing, like, I was just
question on that. Why don't you know? Were there too many things that you did, or what?
Oh,
I
like you said, man, I deserved
yeah.
every beating I got. I was not a good kid.
Yeah, I
Can
feel
relate.
that. Yeah, I can relate. That's the thing though, like
Oh, yeah.
the thing I was thinking about right then is like, were we so traumatized that we thought we were so bad, or were we actually so bad? You know, that's what I was
Oh, that's a good
thinking.
question.
You know, but I was also
there's
thinking
stuff
like,
that I got away with that I probably would have gotten
yeah,
worse. So,
true.
yeah.
That's what I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking too.
definitely.
But I just think like even chat, like they're in agreement, like every hiding that we got or beating, like it was, deserved. But like when our kids act up, like for example, I don't want to give my kids a hiding, but sometimes I feel like even my nieces and nephews, I'm like, fuck, you need a hiding. Like, and I wouldn't touch them because they're not my kids, even though sometimes I'm like, bro, you need a slap.
Yeah. I think
like
my 2 girls, I've only had to give maybe a slap maybe once or twice.
yeah.
And we when they were raised, we moved over to Australia when they were young.
Yeah.
Yep. So they grew up in Australia, and all our friends over there were amazed that we could control our girls just by looking at them.
Yeah.
The looks.
The look is
Just
the
by
word.
looking at them, and they were just boom dead in their tracks, and they're like, "Yeah, you know, stop what you're doing." And I was like, "How do you do that as conditioning?" Like,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
for myself,
They do it over and
I
over.
just I just threatened them that I'm going to embarrass the shit out of them at school. Embarrassment is
that's
the
actually-
ultimate weapon, whano.
I
So
think
like,
there is
I
a better
I threaten that I'm
alternative.
going to come to their school in a Pikachu onesie or something, and tell them that that's my daughter.
No. Hey, so with the VybeTrybe, like for the three of you, like knowing those experiences, are any of you fathers at the moment? Like, do you have kids?
No.
No, I'm a long time uncle. I got a bunch of nieces and nephews.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you can
beat
give
all
them
of them.
back, hey, you can give them back. That's all good.
Yeah.
I beat all of them. They don't. I don't discriminate.
Right.
No discrimination. I hate them all.
God.
Yeah, I tell.
But I love
Hey,
them all at the same time.
exactly. I tell them all. I tell all their
Have you ever
parents.
been? Yeah. Have you ever been hit with the which one of us do you like the best?
I think
Which
I
one
win
do you
those.
love the
Yeah.
best?
It's
Okay.
pretty obvious in my family if I did it to the older generation that I'm the favorite. So yeah.
Yeah, I like to say that.
So definitely my
so-
older siblings, if they were to give me hidings, they definitely would every day for every minute of my life. They would.
Yeah.
So currently here in New Zealand, they've reintroduced laws, or they've introduced new laws to prevent like child abuse in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's
It's a bit of a double-edged
I
sword,
just-
eh?
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
subjective, I guess,
Mhm.
because like you know, for a lot of people who here in New Zealand, like, yeah, okay, we did get those beatings, but there were some really good lessons that came from some of them,
True.
that
Very true.
that kept us on the straight and narrow. And
It's
then we're
that
looking
fine
at
line between discipline and abuse.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's true.
And so we're looking at, you know, some of the kids from today's generation, and it's like, man, you are getting away with murder.
Oh,
Yep.
You have
Yeah.
no
Oh, man.
idea.
You're
You know,
speaking
and
facts.
then yeah, and then looking at some of our own kids and to say, okay, do I want my own child to be that type of person? And
Right.
you know, like, so I guess for me as a father, when I look at my children and how I want them to grow, you know, like, I guess I don't apply the same discipline as what my father or my mother did to
Yeah.
me, but I still have strategies that I implement to, you know, make
Mhm.
sure that there is discipline there.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
gonna turn up in that onesie one day. Let's go.
no, don't worry, I got the pukana of doom, man. Like, yeah, I mean, my eyes go up, and
Yeah.
then the kids, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like,
that's
are
the
you
universal
prepared?
look here, sir.
Yeah. So like, with my wife at the moment, like she's the mouthpiece.
Mhm.
She'll let the kids know if you don't get your you know, if you don't get yourself sorted, I'm telling dad. I
Yeah.
say very little, but when I say something, you know, the
Mhm.
kids know, oh yeah, dad is
They
speaking.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those
Serious.
ones.
So
Dad has to
yeah,
step in. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
true.
So like worst punishment for them is like, no, I'm not going to hit you. I'm just going to
Yeah.
break your phone in front of you, and that ruins their whole
Oh,
life. So yeah,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
yeah.
oh,
That
shit.
social
I'm
media
just
is
gonna
a
send
big
it to
thing.
outer space.
That's
Yeah.
we had another question. It's going to change the tune a bit, and I know you guys haven't done your kids' background yet, but
Okay.
I think it's an important one. Because over here in New Zealand, like even myself growing up as a kid, like sports was like my only way out. That's the way my family
Mhm.
was brought up, and that's the way that they were bringing me out. We got an awesome question in the chat by Just for Kicks, and he asked
Oh, he doesn't mind
over
the
there,
kiss
is it
there.
is it similar to over there for you guys with American football or whatever sport is big in your area? Like, were you guys pushed towards sports as being the way out, or is there something else
Uh,
that goes?
definitely sports. From growing up for me, sports was definitely a big thing. especially for a lot of Polynesians. So, you know, the biggest thing was football. After that was basketball. So it was football and basketball that was that played a huge role in growing up. So yeah, definitely sports. For the ladies, it was volleyball and fast pitch.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that like softball?
Yeah, it's exactly softball, but I don't know why they call it fast
Okay.
pitch.
Oh, yeah.
It's the
Oh, wow.
evolution. It's the evolution of the game.
Yeah. But yeah. But
I was gonna say, like, definitely exactly what Husky said. But it was growing up, it was like it always seemed like that was the only option. But that was
Yeah.
the only option that was presented to us. Like, okay, now you're gonna play this sport, and pretty much that's all you're gonna be good at.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be good at drawing.
So
You're not gonna
accurate.
be good at music. You're not gonna
This,
be an
yeah.
actor. You're not gonna become a doctor. You're not gonna be anything. Like, you're only gonna play football.
Football, let's go.
So that's it. So
That's actually so true.
for our generation growing up, it was like if you didn't play, people looked at you weird.
Yeah. Or if you
And
weren't like one of the best players on the team and
exactly.
your parent wasn't on the sideline
Yeah.
yelling at you, or
Yeah.
you're getting a hiding afterwards because you didn't play good. Yeah,
Yeah.
relatable. Same. That's crazy. Some of
Yeah.
those are crazy.
So yeah,
Did you
that-
ever have that Samoan parent where it's like, oh, I'd like to introduce you to my offensive line, and then there's
oh, that does happen. It does happen where I don't know what it is now about the kids who are like in high school now, but they're like for poly kids, but they're built different. They're all 6'6"
Monsters.
and massive.
Man.
They're all quick with their feet, and I'm just looking at them like, what? Where did this come from? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
your dad's 5'8". Where did it come from? Who is your real dad? Who is your real dad?
And Mongare, a 12, 13-year-old kid that's 6'2" and 140 kilos.
Right, yeah. So I don't know, but those were the only opportunities that were presented to us. But as of now, it's being embraced that with the polys like doing with the music side. Being,
artistry.
you know, the arts are now growing.
Yeah.
So definitely for our people, the opportunities are growing, and now
it's
people are seeing.
encouraged too. There's so much
Yeah.
talent.
Yeah.
I tell people all
Even
the time,
the
like, man,
space right now. Yeah.
I
Even
was
the
just
space, like, right? Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the space right now, like podcasts, streaming, gaming,
exactly.
like it's just being embraced, growing.
Yeah.
So many amazing artists.
Yeah.
This is really cool just to see.
And even the skill
similarities
sets
then.
you set up just to try and stream yourself drawing, like you do pick up
Yeah.
other skill
Oh, yeah.
sets, and that just, you know, you become familiar with like the digital side, how you need to configure things, like, and it's a problem solving process that you go to, and I think that's where all the learning happens. It's not the picking the one thing, it's the journey on the way. It's like, oh, you run into this problem, how do I do this? Oh, I made this mistake, how do I not do that again?
Yeah.
And it happens in anything. So like on the OCE side, we have really talented like groups of like artists, musicians. I mean, there's the Super Gang, but you know, they will get you on our podcast at one point, hey, to tell your dad. You know, then you got like musicians, and it's being embraced, and people just like it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like you know, as a teacher, like sooner or later we're gonna be made redundant. I swear, because like education now, like I truly believe that what we're dealing with right now, or what we're seeing
Yeah.
right now, is the future of education. You know, everything's gonna be digital. I mean, we're gonna be able to have like online mentors, online teachers that you know, engaged in distant learning. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that can come from this, probably even more so than what you would find in the classroom.
Right.
So,
Could you imagine in the classrooms when we were growing up, our resources, like when I went to school in the far north, our resources were books that were printed in the 70s. You know, that library just smelled like old, like, and outdated information. So we're learning this thinking it's true, but it's constantly changing.
Right.
Like
Right.
we change
Exactly.
so like this, like when I was in primary school, and we'll sit on the mat and we'll be like, okay, we want to go, and the teacher will like spitfire questions like, who discovered New Zealand? Back then it was Abel Tasman, but that's what they would accept as the right answer. Oh, and it has to be no. You can't discover somewhere where people already are. But now people are
Yeah.
starting to like think like that now these days. But I
Yeah.
was arguing with the teacher back then. So you can't
Mm.
discover a place where people already are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. I agree.
Yes. Yeah. So now the education,
true.
we're getting it from the horse's mouth too. Like when I ask something, about like Te Ao Māori, there's people out there like Taikawa and Matua Native, and they can give you all
Why are
their.
you adding us, man?
It's
We
good
got
promo. Good
prides.
promo.
Love it. Love
Right,
it.
yeah. They
Yeah.
hate it when I mention them. Like, oh, the thing is about fluent real speakers, they'll tell you they're not fluent, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
hey. No, I'm like, "Eh."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, speaking
that's
of
so
that,
true.
can any of you three speak like fluent Samoan, like in the either informal or formal language?
For me, probably just it's very slanged.
Yeah.
And it's broken. Like I don't know the placement of like words. So
Yeah.
like big cup, if you were to directly translate it, it would be kele ipu, but
Yeah.
it's ipu kele, like the
Epically.
flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Flip.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if
Oh,
whenever I talk, I
Mm.
try to say it exactly how I think
yeah,
it's
which is
supposed to be
more,
translated.
which is
Yeah.
colonized, right? Because it's the Western side
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
English
Yeah.
side of thinking. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
my words end up wrong. So whenever I can't think, I just start speaking English.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So my
So
mom gets mad, but I'm like, I'm trying, mom. I'm trying.
well, that's
yeah.
just the thing, eh? You don't want to get people who make mistakes, and you get that negative, feedback, and then you just don't want to try.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
But
Because
it
me,
So
I
that
make
was,
doesn't
I
hold
make
me
mistakes
back.
all the time.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I make mistakes. I don't know if Matua mentioned this too. Is that I'm a super duper beginner. Like I know like
Same.
the basics. Like if someone were to ask me for a pepe hair, I could probably stumble through it. That's sort of like the where you're from and all of that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
So I could probably do that. But as Matua mentioned, we have this thing called the pai pai, and I've been put in situations where that's like the formal poetic one, and I'm like fucking broken nails, and I'm like standing up in front of like hundreds of people, getting caught out on the pai pai,
Yeah.
bro. Like, have you ever
Mm.
had your heart jump into your throat and then
Right.
Yeah. So, one of the biggest things here with the language is that for a lot of our people, they can't speak it, but they can comprehend it or they can understand it a lot better when when they hear
Yeah,
the words. Is that the same with you too, Chief and Husky?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah.
you pick up
Yeah.
the
So
context. Yeah.
so like I can understand like the easy stuff, and then some of the other stuff I have to like put it together. But I cannot speak Samoan like at all.
Mm.
Mm.
yeah, yep. I feel you.
I have to say though, like it's been maybe like a year and a bit since I've joined Yati Gaming, and just hanging around people that speak it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah,
so
like
awesome.
and just hanging around people who speak it, I can get the context of what's going on now, rather than
Yeah.
just be like,
Mm.
Exactly.
Right.
slang.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like you can pick up words and say,
Mm.
"What did you say about me?" Nah.
Actuals.
Axiom A. No, no, but
And
like,
we yeah, and
like
we
just
speak it
picking
way
up.
more too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just basics.
Yeah.
It's so
So
oh,
Yeah,
you go.
for me, I have like really broken. It's broken.
Okay.
I don't comprehend everything. Most of it is like from when I was little. The way I learned is I used to make my grandma repeat herself multiple times until she got mad enough to say it in English. So,
Yeah.
so then it's like, I got you. Okay. So yeah, I haven't really progressed too much in it, but for the most part, I know enough to understand what somebody's asking me, within the household. Can you go grab me this? Take out the trash, clean this, put the kids to sleep, wash
And
yourself,
then you'll take
Isn't it
contextual
funny
clues,
how
because they'll point in
Yeah.
the general direction,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you can kind of gauge
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Isn't it
Actually,
funny how it's usually like orders or instructions are the
Yeah.
ones
It starts with that, and then as you get older, you start hearing more and more, and then you kind of like piece words together, and then it's like, okay, now I know what this means. They say this, don't play in the street, stay away from the sidewalk, and this and that. So
yeah.
it's little
Yeah.
things, but I pick it up, and I usually pick it up pretty fast. And then
Cool.
just within the last couple of years, I started trying to learn it all over again, and be more
Oh,
fluent.
wow.
Yeah, I have like a book. I was working with a buddy of mine, and he would like tell us phrases, give us the alphabet and how to pronounce certain things. So I have a book. I haven't touched it in like 6 months, but for the most part, I try and go over it. And even Cyrus, like, I'll say something and then he'll correct me.
I correct them.
I can't,
cool.
and it's always like one small thing. It'll be like the
Yeah.
Okina's in the wrong place, or I didn't space out, a certain part of the word.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I do okay. I can get by.
Right.
Oh,
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is.
what about some of the more traditional practices like whawhetai? Do you go through that like on daily or weekly basis as well, or like what sort of things do you do to maintain your cultural practices in your space?
Or even if it's not traditional, like the way you grew up, do you guys have any cultural, like, I don't know, traditions you may call them, or just things that you do to like help you feel grounded or reconnected?
Yeah.
Mm.
With me, it's teaching my nieces and nephews whatever I learn.
Yeah.
So my wife has 2 sisters. And so together with the 2 sisters, they have 6 kids. So I started saying it just came out of habit. Sometimes it was out of frustration. I would say something and then they would look at me like, "What does that mean, Uncle?" And then I would tell them what it means, and then later on I'd repeat it again. And so now certain phrases that I say, it's like they
Yeah.
now know. And then with my wife too, my wife, she's Mexican, so she didn't understand anything. So as she started to get to know my family, she fell in love with the culture, discipline, the
Beautiful.
respect. So when it comes with that, that's probably one of the biggest things that I carry with me, and
Yeah.
that's what I put on to my nieces and nephews. And when it comes to their moms and their aunts, like, nobody tells me anything. The kids will badmouth their moms, their aunts, their grandmas, whatever, but the minute I say something, they do it. So
Aw.
Let's
that's
go,
Yes.
Uncle.
right. I got
Yeah.
the iron
Yeah.
fist,
That
something.
respect on your name, man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of continue to keep the culture with me, and keep it in my mind more often. 'Cause I just one of them just, or like the youngest sister, just got here in January from Florida, so their kids,
Oh, wow.
like, there's 2 are one just turned 3 today, the other one's 1, and then the other 2 are like 6 and 8. So with them, the 2 older ones, like, I'm teaching them things. I'm like, "Hey, this means," I'll say something like, "What does that mean, Uncle?" And I tell them, "So next time I say this, what does it mean?" Then they'll repeat it. And then the oldest nephew from the older sister-in-law, he knows. He knows. Once I start saying something, he was like, "Oh, Uncle's mad. let me go do this." And he starts
Right.
telling his little sister, "Hey, Uncle said go do this." So it gets around.
Damn.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think
That's awesome.
to reiterate, that's like we've been speaking about like how our native languages are somewhat limited to a degree, but something an old fella passed on to us that it can also speak in other ways, matua. So like,
Exactly.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
can speak your culture
Mm.
through other ways, like like yourself trying to pass it on to, your nieces and nephews, or in works, or like doing your work, or through art, or through music. So
Mm.
even if you're disconnected that way, you can still connect in that way. Or like yourself, Cyrus, when you mentioned you were learning about your, I keep calling it whakapapa. That's like your
Heritage.
genealogy.
Lineage.
Yeah.
Just my
Genealogy.
lineage.
Mm.
Yeah.
So even stuff like that, that's still other ways of connecting. So even if you haven't got the
Mm.
what we say the real, it still speaks in other ways, and even just giving it that
Mm.
effort still shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and with that, I know a lot of. Well, I kind of think it's just me and my dad that have this knowledge. Nobody else in my family knows what we know. So I'm trying to pass that on to my generation and kind of educate them, like where certain names come from, our village, where our original village before we migrated over, like
Mm.
speaking to that. So, but yeah, I try to keep my culture alive.
That's a good
And
feeling
Yeah.
though when you know where
That's
you
awesome.
connect.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you
exactly.
can
Yeah.
figure
Yeah,
out
That's cool.
exactly where you connect is another feeling, other than like the last name and there's not another family. But
right.
when you
Mm.
know exactly where you connect, that's another
Yeah.
feeling as well.
Yeah,
Like it's like, oh, like
yeah.
Mm.
yeah,
Especially
if you know it, you know it, eh? Like the
yeah,
feeling of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
especially being one of two people who have this knowledge in our
Yeah.
family. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I gotta pass this on or record it, or I have it written down and everything, to pass
Mm.
on to my generation and for the younger ones, just so they don't forget who they are and where we come from.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm
Very
really big on that.
inspirational.
That's
I mean,
Yeah.
awesome. What about you,
what about
Chief?
yeah.
So like Cyrus, like we're cousins, but like Cyrus is like my older brother basically. So
Yeah,
definitely
that's how
from
we
him.
vibe too.
Yeah. So like in our family, Cyrus is like the connection to the older folks and the kids because
Mm.
like
Yeah.
yeah, so like he's like the bridge. So I usually go to him for like anything about our culture because it used to be our grandpa who told us everything, but he
Yeah.
passed away, rest in peace.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I
Rest
get
in peace,
everything from
pops.
Cyrus. Yeah, rest in peace,
Mm.
pops. He gives
Mm.
me everything, and then like in our culture, it's a big thing to get together, like make some food, function,
Yeah.
Mm.
stuff like that. So definitely, like we try to keep it alive like that, and then especially on this podcast, like we explore more with our cultures and everything, and then everybody else's cultures, like you guys come in on. So that's definitely how we keep it alive.
We
Um.
we have a question actually from chat. In Maori we express emotion from our stomach. Is it similar in your cultures? Cyrus, you want to take that one?
Emotion
Okay.
from our stomach, like eating.
Matsua, can you explain? It's a bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than that.
Okay.
Matsua, can you explain?
What
Can you explain
Taiko's trying to ask?
Taikawa's comment? He
um.
said, like, how we express emotion from our stomach. It is about eating, but I know it's more than that,
Okay.
right?
Okay. So, expression from our stomach. Can be seen in different ways. Is he talking about food or is he talking about haka?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think he's talking about both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pukuriri, teto, or
Oh,
taku.
Pukuriri. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I've just gotta find that comment. Is that in our chat?
Oh, no,
It's
it's
in
it's our
VybeTrybe.
chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Our
okay.
chat, yeah.
It's in the VybeTrybe chat. Okay. So I guess the emphasis of the emotion can come from inside. More specifically in the stomach. I mean, if he's talking about Taiko, if you are there, can you throw that comment in my chat as well, so I can understand what you're saying, my bro. But
Oh, he
understand the
said
context.
don't tell me what to do. No, no, no.
He
Oh, not my
Pukuriri,
dad.
Teto,
Yeah,
or Taku
he
ake.
said, I'm not calling you dad. I'm not calling you
oh,
dad.
pukuriri te tau o taku ate. Okay, cool. So in terms of pukuriri, like I guess it's more centered around that the emotion of anger. Okay, so pukuriri is like that real built up frustration. It's coming like from your core. No different with te tau o taku ate. That's the opposite side. It's more about love and affection. And I guess so. Ate is like your intestine. Okay, and te tau is like the center of my. So it's like saying you are the center of my intestine, or you are what keeps me functioning all the time. Okay, you give me energy to keep me going. You're the love of my life. So pretty much in that sense, like there's a lot of emotion that comes from the core
Our
or the
stomachs.
center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like also like gut instincts as well. Is that kind of into it?
Yeah.
Also? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on our end, it's usually just spoken word.
Yeah.
Everything is just out, spoken word. So depending on the emotion you're going through, or I guess how you said like a what do you say like a I don't know like a sense or something like
Give us an
whenever.
example, Matua. Give us an example.
Oh yeah, give us an example.
Like you're telling me to fuck up.
Taki hoi. But sorry, let's carry on.
Okay. No, just no. Usually everything is just spoken word.
Yeah.
But I will say, for those who aren't in like that hold a significance or not, I don't want to say significance. That sounds wrong. But like a certain stature in the family, you're I don't know. Like I guess how you feel is kind of swept under the rug or whatever.
Oh, really?
But
Yeah, like emotions weren't really
nah, it's not a big thing with us.
Yeah,
like
growing up, like our aunts, uncles, grandparents, they didn't really share or show that love of emotion. Like Cyrus said,
very
everything
stoic.
was just it was words, and then you had to go by that.
through words, and that's how you learn.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we also learn through action, but a lot of everything that was
That makes
expressed
sense.
was through words.
To be fair, though, up until like not too long ago, just expressing your emotions was just like wasn't
Frowned
done.
upon.
Yeah.
So true. That's so true. Which is the weird thing, because like I don't know about you, but like my ancestors, like which my family talk about, have stories about, and like even on my dad's side, they have stories where everything was really upfront. So you know how you would talk about the chiefs like going at each other, or like being upfront about something, or that's how we were, like, I don't know when, but my papa told me stories about how that's how it used to be. And then they just kind of stopped doing that. And like there are parts where we'd have like a whānau meeting, and like we would be upfront about certain problems, but like expressing emotion, like usually positive emotion, like I love you, or like, like, I don't know, just even giving your kid a hug.
Honestly, like up to my uncle's generations, like if you were to say "I love you" to another guy, they go, "Oh, homophobic."
Yeah, so like it was just
definitely.
not. It was not.
It
It was
was
not.
always like that toxic type of like you can't just tell, and like I do this to my uncles on purpose sometimes too, just to watch them, but like, not all of them are like that.
Yeah.
I do it on purpose, and like I do, I'm not saying it just for that. Like I do, like I love my family, and I tell them, and
Yeah.
like
And I think that's important.
I'm not gonna have my kids be brought up in a world where everything's sort of like you can't positively express yourself, and if you're feeling down, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This is like a massive shift. Yeah.
So just reverting back to Taiko, because I've got the Kazi in chat at the moment. So he's
Don't
talking
do it
about
justice, mate.
and if I called it, or there are still examples of that. And that's extremely true. So going back to the formal speaking in terms of our culture when we're on the pai. What we do give examples of acknowledgement and emotional connection, through our words as well. Like ka mihi ki te aroha. Okay, so probably a thing that's saying we acknowledge the word love.
Okay.
And in terms of a poetic sense, and I guess it's just acknowledging the concept of who we are as a people and who we're expressing that aroha or that love to. So like we acknowledge your people, we acknowledge our people, and we acknowledge the word love. And what they're in a formal context is saying, we're connected through one way or another. Okay, so let's let love be their connection. And what it does is it creates I guess a sense of relationship between those who are either visiting or those of us that are on the that are there keeping the home fires burning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
But,
questions.
I think like thinking about that, I'm reading some of the comments in chat, and I'm just thinking to myself, how many problems would we have been able to avoid, or how much we could have improved someone's life, if like your parents, if you had them just told you they loved you,
So true.
Because like a lot of kids grew up without even that being said once, and I've
Yeah.
seen it mess people up. Like
Yeah.
I've seen it have
Yeah.
varying effects. I've seen it where they've like, I'm gonna show you sort of attitude, and they've pushed it. But then there's others that have like receded into shells and like question their self worth. So one of the
Right.
things I do with my girls, I make sure to tell them every day. You know, just
Right.
tell your kids you love them,
Yeah.
or your
Right.
nieces, nephew, whenever you see them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're, you run into them and and it's like, well, yeah, bye, love you. Make sure they know, because that
Right.
I think like yeah, that was missed in the generation before, because you had to look tough.
Yep.
It was the whole
Well,
Yep.
staunch 10-foot tall
Mm.
bulletproof sort of mentality.
Yep.
And then they
Yeah.
get to their
Yeah.
they get older and they feel and like their kids don't respect them as much as they think they should.
Mm.
Like, what are your
I,
thoughts on
mm.
I 100% agree with everything you said. Really, because it was the same thing for us.
Yeah.
We're just the generation underneath everybody who they're too cool to cry in front of everybody. Still to this day, my
Yep.
older brothers, they're too cool to
Yep.
cry.
Yeah.
For you guys who don't know, one of my older brothers, or my uncle, he passed away, and we actually bury him next weekend.
Peace
Ah,
uncle.
And so, yeah, I love you, Leaks. But all of all of my older brothers, like, no matter if it's a funeral or a gathering or whatever, there's no I love you. There's
yeah.
that most of the time they don't even say bye. They kind of just
Yeah.
or if we're all standing outside, we say bye a million times, and then they honk their horn and then wave and then they take off. But there's no I love yous, or only to my mom. That's it. All my older brothers, like, the only I love yous, they probably go to their own children. It's more prevalent now, like, as we're getting older,
Yeah.
they're learning.
Right.
So they say I love you more often. But still, like, to each other, we're like, once it's funny because when you get my older brothers together, you're like, out of nowhere, they're really you know, like how like Primo was saying, like, they're stoic and they kind of
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it's still
yeah. I'm
prevalent.
too
Not as
cool to
much
cry.
in
I'm with
yeah.
it. Like,
It's
but it
still
was,
out there, but it is changing, luckily, like
yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
slowly.
there's
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely.
things are
Yeah.
changing
Definitely.
around.
Which
But
is good.
I've learned that for the longer we are in America, because all of my older siblings, and I would say there's only 5 of us that have actually been back to the islands,
Oh
and
wow.
there's like 100 of us. Like, there's a lot of us, but there's only 5 of us, and I'm included. I was there for like 2 months, but in 2005. But yeah, we're like, there's a big disconnection, even though everybody older than me speaks the language fluently. Um, definitely they're still kind of old thinking ways, but things are definitely
Exactly.
changing.
It's shifting, yeah,
So
100%.
there's that
Same here.
constant stigma of pride versus emotional expression.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms as one conflicts with the other. So no, I guess it's breaking through that mentality of once upon a time to show emotional expression is a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in
But
order to maintain one's pride and dignity, they wouldn't show any emotional expression. That stigma still carries on to this day for a lot of people.
when people are
And
broken, it's because they're strong for too long, eh, bro? Like
yeah,
you're trying to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and it's I guess it's trying to change that thinking paradigm that showing emotional expression is not a sign of weakness. There's strength there. You know, for a lot of people, when somebody's hit and you can see it, coming together helps build a stronger mentality. The being able to show emotional expression and overcome the trials and tribulations that come with that build strong character, right? So, one thing that we're trying to encourage, I guess, in this day and age is that, if especially for a male, it's okay to not be okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to show that you're struggling. It's okay to be upset and say, I can't handle this. Why? Because then we can see that you need help,
mm.
and that doesn't happen enough.
And I think the paradigm has shifted again, where like someone can say that, and like if you do reach out, there'll be somewhere who'll be more than willing to sit there and listen to you for 8 hours.
Mm,
Just talk about or talk about their problems. Like if you do reach out, please reach out. Like if you're in a spot like that and it's dark, because like
Yeah.
I'll sit there and fucking listen all night if I have to, because I'll sure as hell do that before I want to go to anyone's tangi, like for sure, or funeral.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, but
So,
things like that happen, eh? But usually I find is that like when it's family, they never reach out to family. In the
Yeah.
digital space, we
True.
seem to be more willing to open up to people
Yeah.
that we haven't even met before.
Yeah. Do you think that's because we've all kind of experienced exactly what you're going through?
mm, we wouldn't know what a lot of other people have experienced. I mean, like especially within Polynesian culture, because
Right.
we're prideful people, we're very subtle in terms of some of the hardships that we're all going through. But like in other instances, no words need to be spoken. You can just see it. Like it's like, my bro,
Right.
I can see that you're going through some hard times. And you don't even have to say a word. I just want you to know that if you need me, I'm here.
Mm.
I
You know.
think,
Definitely.
yeah.
So.
I
You
Mm,
think
can often
telling
hear
your
it in
family or your
yeah,
friends is definitely the hardest thing to do.
yeah,
mm,
That's honestly for me, like just growing up, telling my family is probably the hardest thing for me. And the reason
mm,
that is because it's the reason why that is because they know me so well, and of course they love me. There's like and also expectation as well. So there's a lot of different things that are combined with why it's hard for me to tell my family certain things about my life, mainly because I love them and I don't want to burden them. But secondly, it's because the expectation that they have of me. It's not about like don't want to let them down type vibes, but also strangers or like people on the internet or friends that you don't know,
yeah.
they don't really know
mm.
you. That's why
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
easier to
I think it's
express like
I think it's the
100%.
whatever's going through.
IRL thing as well too, Choco. Like when you come online and you're hanging out in Discord, how much time are you actually spending with these people online? Versus in real life. You know what I mean? So
Very
like
true.
you'll be at home maybe, and so like you go to work. You come home, have dinner, do all of that stuff, and like if you're on Discord and you're gaming, you're spending several hours in the evening with these people like every night. So you
Yeah.
end up trusting them maybe even more than your own
Mm,
family. Like, or you get
Right.
to know them
Yeah.
really well,
Yep.
or the version of them they let you know
Right. Right.
Yeah.
online.
That
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
So there's
that's true.
still there's that you spent a lot of time with these people, but then there's also still a layer of anonymity there. So if it does turn to crap, it's easy to just like ghost,
Let go of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like just
Right.
ghost.
True, true.
Like
Yeah.
there's still a safety net there, but I'm not saying that like that happens all the time. I'm just trying to think of reasons why we would open up and maybe like a PlayStation party more than like
Yeah.
sitting around and going to someone and saying I'm feeling down, or
Mm.
you don't even need to hear it. Like they'll jump on and you can hear it in their voice, and you're like, bruh, like you're all good. Yep. Just tired. Yep. Okay. Cool. Like you'll accept that they're just tired, and then you won't at them anymore.
Yeah.
But if it
Yeah.
keeps
Yeah.
going on, you'll start like I think in the digital space we tend to open up more.
But,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Definitely.
It's just that I think there's like no judgment, just
Mm.
because
Yeah.
mm,
they don't know you, or
Yep.
like you said, as you go on, you tend to learn more about them, but for the most part, like they don't know you, they only know
Yeah.
everything you tell them, so
Yep.
there's kind of really no judgment there,
Right.
mm.
And then, like you
Um,
said, if anything, you get tired of them, you just ghost them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Really
Yeah.
is. There's just like
Yeah.
there's still
Yeah.
a layer of anonymity there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can
Mm.
still like
Right.
do that.
Yeah.
Not
Mm.
not that I've
Yeah.
done
Ev-
that. No.
I
Telling on
guess
himself.
in spaces especially in spaces like online communities.
Mhm.
Okay, so what you do is you tend to find yourself in a position where you want to engage with communities that have like-minded people, right? So
Yep.
you're constantly looking for, okay, who's like me,
Right.
who has that vision of wanting to do this, or who's in that space that's like keen to learn about this. And once you start having a conversation with people that are like-minded like yourself, you start building a relationship with that person online where they become like your brothers and sisters or family in this space, in the digital space.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like for yourselves, you've already found out through being engaged in this space that you're related. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
you're connected in that way. It's just like, oh man, that's my cousin. And then eventually you get to a point where you're meeting in real life, IRL.
Yeah.
Next minute, it's like you've known that person your entire life, but you've only just
Yeah.
met them for the first time, to
Yep.
the point where
Exactly.
you're comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Being in your space, being at your home, where you're sitting down having a feed and a conversation with them. It just feels like you've been talking to them all
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
we've all
That
met
actually, yeah.
IRL, or I've known Chief my whole life, but
Yeah.
yeah, we've all met IRL. I actually woke up one morning and I was sleeping on this little bed, and Big Husky was sitting on the bed right next to me, on the very edge, just staring at me while I was sleeping.
A
So
little bit.
we're definitely gonna have to talk about that, but
You weren't supposed to bring that up.
we're gonna talk-
God, that's so funny.
What happens here stays here. Okay, that's supposed to be brought back up.
Yeah, but definitely, yeah, we all vibe IRL, because
That's cool.
we are who we are, like how we are on the stream, and then
Yeah.
in real life, we're the exact same. Like if
Yeah.
you
I
met
feel that.
us, you would be like, wow, you guys are just exactly like how you are on the stream. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it gets annoying. It might get annoying,
Yeah.
but we're exactly who we are on
Unfortunately
stream
for
IRL.
Matua Native, we are also the same in real life.
Right, exactly.
So we just shorten who we are to who are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
we're absolute whoas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was funny that you guys mentioned that too. Being able to meet the person in real life and finding out they're the same.
That they're
Because-
6'3".
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
When
Oh, but like when we
bro.
met, like it was like nothing
Yeah.
ever changed. Nothing was
Yep.
different. As soon as we met, the jokes started flying right away. It was like
Yep.
we just it was like we already knew each
Yeah.
other and we just took it off the games. We're like, oh yeah, I'll see you in a little
Yeah, we
bit.
just
kind of
pick
thing.
up where you left off.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
it was just fluent. And then that was the first time I met Cyrus, and then he took off. And then when he came back later on, he brought Chief with him. So when Chief came in, again, it was just like nothing
Exactly.
ever changed. It was the
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Love that.
So that was that's probably
Dri-
like one of the greatest moments
Yeah.
of meeting somebody
Mm.
offline and finding out they're the same exact person. We still talk shit to each other.
Right.
Mhm.
It's like we met
We
and
can
started.
relate.
We met and started drinking within the first 2 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right
it
away.
was-
Yeah. Yep.
It was.
Sounds about
We just
right.
picked up where we left
Yeah.
off. We just picked up where we left
Yeah.
off.
I was barbecuing and
Yeah.
I had beers and everything ready, so we just started drinking and then
Yeah.
eating, and
Yeah.
you know we
Yeah.
had an episode to do that night too, so the whole plan went out the door, and we just like grubbed and just
gone.
started laughing, having fun.
Oh, was
Funny
that
you
you said you had some barbecue, sunk a few drinks, and it was 2 a.m. already?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh man.
real quick.
So,
Yeah, that-
so towards the end of last month, I got married.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations. Everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bells in the chat. If there's a bell emote, put them in the chat.
And then, I swear, like, I probably had more of my online mates at my wedding than I did my IRL family and friends. It's actually crazy.
Oh, damn.
But then, you know, like them turning up just made the dynamics so different. Like, yeah, it was a party. Like,
He
so
still
before
hasn't. He still hasn't lived down his real name.
yeah, so for the time that these people have known me, some of them almost like I've known online for 10 years.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, one of the bros that I met in IRL through gaming on COD, like, ended up being one of my groomsmen in my life. Oh, a couple of guys
wow.
from
Couple of them,
online,
yeah.
yeah, where ended up being my groomsmen. Um,
Any of them you met for
yeah,
the first time in IRL, being one of your groomsmen?
no, so
Oh, damn.
I've met all of them at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least once. But yeah, no, that's what I mean. Is like the family connection there is huge. One of them that was supposed to be my groomsman was supposed to come over from another country.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, our borders had closed because of our government. They had changed the date and extended it out a month.
Because of the old
Before,
Omnicron.
Yeah, because
yeah.
of COVID.
But that was supposed to be the time where I met one of our bros that we had jammed with for years for the first time.
Right.
And we were all supposed to connect, and he was supposed to be in the line as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
after Nico.
From the ceremony, though, the antics
Yeah,
started. So,
yeah,
like,
exactly. So, like the night before my wedding was my birthday.
Oh,
Oh,
dang.
wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So what we
That's
did
Double
was
header.
we had drinks to celebrate my birthday, and then we had drinks again to celebrate the wedding night. And I guarantee you, both nights were just complete antics, like crazy.
you
Like
know,
these guys,
we just start talking about this, and you go and summon Jam.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So one of our boys, Jim, has beats. You know, he like soon as he gets to the place to come and join us, he
Mhm.
starts roasting everybody on the spot. Meeting like, and we only just a lot of us only just meet him for the first time, me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, like the constant roasting all night starts happening, but it's a good time.
Everyone's laughing together. No one's catching feelings or anything. So
Yeah,
it's the same as on Discord.
yeah.
Right.
So true.
There was a lot that was exposed in IRL. And it's truth we're told.
Matua,
Must
bro, did we tell you we have a on our side server for Lost Ark we have a guild called Leicester's Legends. So he's still not getting over his real
I
name.
didn't expect any of this from you who was told.
During the speeches, we made up a haiku about his real name as well and said it in the speeches. It just sounded so cool when like one of the part of the bride's party, she got up and said like a poem, and it sounded like that actually sounds like kind of cool. So we wrote a hua haiku, and we got up and said it as well.
Nice.
The thing is at the end of it all, like I wouldn't trade it in for anything. You know, I mean,
Right.
even though I met a lot of these guys online, they're family to me. You
Mhm.
know, blood
Yeah,
couldn't
I
make us
feel
any
that.
bigger.
Hell yeah.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yes. That's probably a good cultural thing to sort of touch on. So in New Zealand, and especially in Maori houses,
Mhm.
like households, when you come over, you are a guest once. So you'll get the feed of doom. You'll get everything that you could ever ask for, plus more. Food comas and a half. So that's your guest once. Next time you're coming over, because you saw us make all your food, put all the stuff away, and all of that. Yeah, you're helping next because you're whānau.
Oh,
Your
of course.
family.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you come up to the door and you're knocking on it, I'm gonna get shitty because I had to get up and answer it for you. Just come out. So yeah, you're basically family after like the first time. Plus, we need more
Yeah,
people to
definitely.
help vacuum the floor and do the
Right,
dishes.
right.
yeah,
And
and
paint the walls.
yeah. One thing that's very particular about Māori is that we're too lazy to make you a cup of tea twice. Your first cup of tea is free. After that, you go and make your own. So,
Right.
And
yeah,
then while you're at
but
it, make everyone else one, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Like
It's a
it's a
traditional
great joke.
Māori
Yeah.
household.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the second day, you should already know where the dishes are.
exactly.
What drawer opens what.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it like for I guess for you like as Samoans in America when it comes to hosting guests in your house?
I don't have guests. Hey, as soon as you come in, you doing
that
something.
one's
You're doing something.
that's almost like a universal thing for Samoans in America.
Yeah.
Like you have to be really close to us in order for you to come over, or for us to say you can come over to the house. Like,
Okay.
oh yeah,
man, that's-
we don't. I don't let anybody at my house really.
Yeah.
Like
Scenario.
unless
like-
you're the bro, then you can come
yeah.
over.
So
Oh.
scenario, say like if there were kids and they brought their friend over, would that be all good, or is it still like, who are you sort of thing?
Well, if I had kids, it would have been like, you should have texted or called me about that earlier.
Actually, so
well-
true. I had my best friend. Like I've known her since I was like 5, right? She's Samoan. Her whole family is. But like I always wondered why she was always at my house, and then it took me like about a year of me meeting her, like her mum and papa or whatever, like at school or whatever, before I actually got invited to her house.
Right.
So that is true. Like
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I
after
know.
that, it was fine. I was always over there.
Yeah.
Like helping with the dishes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I know with us it's very centered around family, not so much friends, it's about family. So once you're, you're kind of locked in with us, like once you're in,
Oh
you're
yeah.
in.
You're
So
in.
just like how you
for
said, like
yeah,
yeah.
No
Now
getting for this.
now you gotta go grab the groceries. You gotta go like somebody starts
Yeah.
cleaning,
Yeah.
you start
Yep.
cleaning, you start wiping down the table. Like, yeah, once you're in, and you're in for good.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Like friends used to always ask me all the time, like, "How can I come to your house?" I'm like, no. Like you
You just
can't.
already know.
Yeah, in a
No.
way that's smart too, because then you don't end up with about 20 or 30 kids over at your house.
Exactly.
Like you did in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
My
sure my
parents-
dad
yeah.
wanted me over at the house, but bringing 19 others.
Because our house ended up looking after like the neighborhood as well.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be too uncommon to see at least 30 kids at ours. But then there'll be like my parents will be taking them for sports. In summertime it was just softball, and then like in winter it was netball and rugby.
Yeah.
And we lived when we were living in the far north, so it was a small town. So it was a mixture of kids too. So like you'll get so in small towns, right, you'll have that family.
Yeah.
You'll have that family. Everyone knows their last name, and they're like, don't hang out with them, or certain families. But why? Because they're bad. Why are they bad? Oh, because their family's in like the Mongare mob or Black Power or something.
Yeah.
But my parents just let everyone in.
Oh,
You know?
okay,
So like, it doesn't matter what your background is, because like And that was a funny thing too, because these teams had people before they were in the teams. Some used to bully some other people in the teams because like they didn't know each other. Once they got to know each other, they're best friends. 20 years later, they're still friends. It's only because they had that interaction together and got to know people and each
Yeah.
other that bridge was crossed. And then like the fact that my mum and dad took in these kids and like we got to meet their grandparents. Sure, their parents were in the mob, but then you meet their grandparents. They were like the loveliest people out there.
Mhm.
And they were happy that at least someone in the community, didn't shun their kids because they had certain last names. And I won't say them out loud on thing because don't want to. But
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's the
Definitely.
type of thing that they did. Plus side now though, like because we're looking after them, their families are looking after us now. I was like, okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. It's love all around. It's
Yeah,
love all
yeah.
around.
Yeah,
And they're and they're still in my life to this day. Like
I think
those ones, and yep.
that's mostly. I think that is a universal Māori thing though, and I'm
Mm.
not too sure where that stems from, but like yeah, even growing up for me, like I went to a different school from all my friends. Like I went to school in the city, and all my friends, like my childhood friends, went to the schools in our suburb, and like they were at my house before I even got home off the bus. Like that's how it was, and there was like
Right.
like 5, 6 of them, like crazy. And they'll just come over, like help themselves to food, do the dishes. My mum would like make them clean up and stuff like that. Like that's exactly how actually explained. Like that's how it was for me too growing up.
Right.
Yeah, see when my no, I don't bring that many people over, as well, even now. But I was thinking about it. I was like, damn, I guess I must have been family to a lot of people because I would go over everybody's house. But when I go, they always tell me, "Oh, cereal's right there. Oh, food's right there." But I would always help out. And so when my cousin wants to bring friends or something, I'm like, no. But oh, he's my friend. I was like, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, he can come. The minute they get here, take out the trash. All right, go clean the bathroom. What do you guys want to eat? I'll feed them and everything, but the first thing I do with my nephew's friends is, oh, y'all cleaning. You're not gonna come over here and enjoy my stuff without doing some work. No. Y'all about to get your hands dirty first. And so now, like that's what I do.
That's the one thing I noticed about my, like as you guys said, like my best friend's family, they're so family orientated, and they're like so as my whānau, like we are family orientated, but like I honestly like used to be like, oh my god, like low key jealous when I was younger because we were so spread out, but they were all like there were so many of them all together, and they would do so many cool things, like they'd have to like hire out 2 buses, but they'll go like to the like on long trips to like a different part of the country, or like go to the pools together. They were just at their nan's house all the time, which they were my next door neighbors, and like and like you would never really see them with friends, but I was the only friend that because I knew their nan, which was like their pretty much like matriarch of their whānau, and she liked me, so I was allowed to come with them to their family stuff. But you never saw any of our other friends. It was only just me, just because I grew up with them, luckily. So I didn't even think about that though, because
I know
I didn't. It was so normal for me that because I grew up with them, but I didn't realize it was
You
different.
think a normal way.
Yeah.
Because like when I was growing up too, because like we would go on those massive family trips as well, camping and whatnot. So we'll camp near the beach. We didn't even have a tent. What we had was like, we call them bongo vans. They're the Toyota Hiace. And we had
I
like
know which one you're talking about.
a Ford, I think it was like a Bedford, and we'd line these vans up and make a massive like. We'll use them as our sort of like poles and that, and we'll put a tarp across, and there was a massive like tent for everyone. And that was just like on the beach, and we'll go out and we'll go and gather seafood, and like it's just like a summer at the beach with all the cousins. Like you got everything
I love
there.
those.
Yeah.
I love those.
There was us as well. Like, I guess I wasn't really one for going out to the sea to go and grab seafood, but I was definitely one to eat it.
Yeah, same.
But I did most of a lot of my stuff. where work was concerned was on the marae. So like would try and get in there, dig the hangi pit. So are you familiar with a umu?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got the same concept, very similar concept with a hangi. So it's like pretty much ground cooked food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Makes
yeah,
the
we
important
would.
part that makes the hangi
Yeah.
nice is when you stand around, drink beers, and talk shit.
Oh,
That's
that's the
really
best.
Oh,
my
that's the
favorite.
Yeah,
best.
man.
That's the
Yeah,
best.
perfect.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the
So
flavor gets into the food, and it's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So grew up a lot doing that stuff. So going down to the beach to collect driftwood and
Yeah.
stones, and then putting them on the tractor, jumping on the trailer, going back to the marae, stacking up the wood, stacking the stones, lighting it
Yeah.
on fire, and just sitting around the fire, either listening to music or jamming the guitar or telling stories,
Mm.
things like that. So like those were a lot of my experiences in terms of being out on the marae.
Yeah.
Other things like as a kid was like we'd play a game called Bull Rush. Have you ever heard of Bull Rush before?
No,
Bull Rush?
I've never
Okay,
heard that.
yeah. So Bull Rush was
Google,
like
if you Google most banned game in New Zealand schools, you'll get
Yeah. That will come up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine like American football without the ball and without padding. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
pretty
just
much
throwing
yeah.
hands.
Yeah. So
Pretty
like
much.
pretty much. Oh well, more like throwing shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Red Rover.
Red Rover, yeah, Red
Yeah,
Rover.
yeah,
That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one.
we
yeah,
had Red
yeah.
Rover. It was called
Yeah.
Red Rover.
So all you had to do was just try and get from one side to the other.
Yeah.
But
Yep,
you had
Red
people
Rover.
in the
that's
middle.
Red Rover. Yep.
Oh
That was
no!
Yeah,
Red
so
Rover.
Red
You guys
Rover
have a
was our
name
Bull
for it?
Rush.
Like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's cool.
But
Yeah.
but ours, I would say it caused more injury.
Yep.
Because it would be
Yeah.
it'd be a line of kids with their arms locked in on each other,
And you gotta break
and then we'll
the
probably
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and you gotta
Yeah.
run,
Gotta-
you gotta break
boom.
the chain.
Yeah.
So if
Oh,
you're
that's
a,
a bit built
Yeah.
different.
if you're a big
Yeah.
poly boy, oh you're breaking somebody's arm. Like somebody's arms are dislocating, and yeah, that
Yeah.
game's
Ooh.
banned. That game's
So
banned
yeah.
too.
Say that no more.
So what would originally start off as like you had to touch the person to get them in the middle would eventually turn into tackle. So you start tackling the people like because us as Māori or as Polynesians we get sucked up and we're like oh yeah run it straight run it
Yeah,
straight.
who wants the
Yep.
hits?
Yeah.
The
Alright.
hits.
Yeah, and then eventually like it would turn from spear tackles and then it would just turn out to all out WWE. So
Yeah.
no,
Or F, depending on
yeah.
how old you are.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So we're doing spear tackles. We're trying to pile drive our cousins into the ground. Yeah, I followed up with the mad as like shit talk. It's like, yeah, got you. What now? What now, boy? What now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels good, eh? Feels good. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll do the things like, okay, once the games are over, we'll go inside the kitchen, have a big massive munch, and start playing cards.
Yep.
Now, our type of cards is we had a game called Last Card Torture. So
Oh,
I don't, yeah. Have you
It's
heard
like
of the game
Uno.
Last
It's
Card?
like Uno for you
Oh,
guys.
yeah, I played last
Okay.
card.
Yeah.
I played last card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can imagine Uno, but like you played the wrong card, and your hand gets put out on the table, and then you get someone that's flipping a card, and whatever suit it falls on, they had a different form of torture to your hand. So
Oh yeah.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was either a slap, it was a punch, it was like sliding across the knuckles, or it was a pinch.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, what game is
For it. We called it something else. here.
Kaisu?
Kaisu, there you go.
I was trying to think about it. Yeah.
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 But instead
Yeah.
of the knuckles, it was the nose.
Ooh.
Yeah, so if it was
Yeah.
diamonds, you slid across the nose. If it was clubs, you got to slap them on the nose. I forgot what the
Yeah.
other two were.
I don't want to play
Oh.
card games with any of you.
It's funny because like now that I
What
think about it,
what happened to Go Fish?
I now that I think about it, the games that we played were very
Yeah.
unconventional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There was one. It
They're
was
very,
called
you're gonna get hurt if you're not
Yeah.
careful. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
and our family, or especially like amongst the group we call Ultra Megas, we all cheat in every card game, and Monopoly is banned in our house. Monopoly
Yeah.
Oh
is
man.
banned. Yeah, the
yeah.
Monopoly is banned. There's be some table flipping, board flipping.
Oh,
We're always cheating.
Ooh.
Like yeah, we're always cheating. I think we've only played with 2 people in history that played it conventionally, and they had no idea we were all cheating.
Wow.
Monopoly
man.
was just the surface game, guys.
Yeah.
And like I'll give you an idea. So like even the way like I'd roll the dice, I'll purposely make it go off. And what does everyone do when the dice go off the table?
Look at the
And a douche. Yeah,
right.
boom.
He's
There
like,
you
how'd you end up with $1 million?
go.
Pay attention.
Pay attention, guys. Yep.
Pay
And even when
attention.
you're picking up the cards, you're picking up more than one, and you read out the one that's good for you and put it down. There you go. 3 if you're really good. You know, if you've got the big hands, you can get
Yeah.
3 cards and go, oh yeah,
Yeah.
see?
I think
I can't play Monopoly with you.
is that
Yeah.
throughout, and I'm not just saying this for Māori, I'm saying right across Polynesian culture, is that no, our competitive spirit is next
Oh
level.
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
yeah.
It
For no
is.
Yeah.
reason.
It is very
Yeah.
much.
It's such
Yep.
a bad habit.
Yeah. To the
Ah.
point where we're cussing each other out over marbles on stream.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Again, you can't
Sure.
control anything.
That's so true.
Like seriously, if you were to play like I guess any of these conventional games with a like non-Polynesian culture, the first thing they're gonna be worried about is their health and safety. So like they'll lose on purpose. And, like, how much money are you throwing down? $1,000. Okay, I lose. Here you go.
No.
Just don't kill me, please.
There was a game. Cyrus and Chill. I don't know if you guys know it. You guys ever heard of Popo Pono?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
That's
What,
the
what,
So what
that's
it
the
is?
paper scissors, right?
No.
Ah.
So this one is say you got a group of 6. Everybody puts their hand in, but everybody starts with the left hand. And then once everybody's left hand goes in, then goes the right. So one person is designating everybody's hand. He's singing a song. I forgot how the song goes. But this person designates each hand to grab on somebody's ear. So once everybody has both hands on somebody's ear, he says they say whatever ending to it, and then everybody just pulls. So the last one standing is the winner.
Yeah.
Oh, so Squid
We've
Games.
never heard of that game, but
Yeah.
that sounds
Oh,
That's
cool.
why I got big ears.
Give them ideas.
That
I was
sounds
a winner.
cool.
Oh, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give
so,
them ideas.
That game does
This
not
is-
sound fun
yeah.
at all.
Yeah, it
Oh,
does
man.
not.
Ban the inventor.
Similarities are cool. This similarities are so cool. Like just with most of the things.
Yeah,
Either
that
ban the
sounds
inventor or ban our cousins.
Right? Exactly.
Because they were ruthless.
Why is all of our
Yeah.
games violent?
violent.
Yes, that's
Why are
what I
they
was
so
gonna
violent?
say.
Regular.
They all violent.
That seems like the most common theme. They're
And the
violent.
other thing is
Yeah.
too,
Pain. There's
Yeah.
pain.
you pick up a stick and it's automatically a sword or something.
It's a-
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
sword,
Yeah.
a staff, yes. Yes.
That's automatically a weapon. You pick up a stick.
I imagine that was one of the kangaroos from Warriors of Virtue.
What?
Oh, I feel yeah.
The one with the gloves?
Huh?
The king, or I'm thinking of one of the unlocked characters from Tekken.
Oh no.
The
No,
one with
War-
the gloves.
no,
The one with the
Warriors
gloves.
of Virtue was like
That's Roger.
kung fu kangaroos. Each one had like a special power. Like one was fire, wind, metal. He was a mute. No? Goddamn, I feel old now.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know.
Out of my
I
age
don't
range.
know.
Oh
Was
man.
this in black and
Yeah.
white?
No.
Oh.
man.
I'm
Oh
usually
my
good with
gosh.
those things, but what?
I think a lot of our Riddler's games came from high school years, so like, I don't know if you would even call them games. Like, one thing we used to do was No, we'll take off our school jersey, wrap it around our hand, and start using it as
Ninja.
boxing gloves next minute. We
Oh,
just
ninja.
Oh yeah.
try and, yeah.
Or you take off your
Did you
slippers
ever
and
have
slap
mates?
box.
Yep.
Violence.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, we
Get-
called it recreation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
yeah, that
They're
was
going
the
outside.
punching hand. This was the blocking hand. So it was
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
There
you
you
get hit
go.
with it and just
Yeah.
Fireballs all over again. No.
Cyrus, that's gonna be a sound alert.
yeah. I'll make sure it's super
That's
quiet when
cool.
I do it again.
I have just like one more question. I think on my end, like, what's your favorite thing about your culture, or like, yeah, who you are?
Ooh, Chief.
Food. Yeah, Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely we're going to Chief. Yeah, we're going to Chief on this one.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, when you're growing up in your culture, you definitely do see a lot of the shortcomings, but
Yeah.
you see like the good coming, like the good side of it. I definitely have to say I love the like. It's rare that you see it with the Samoans in the States because like the Samoans in States, like they have like there's like a real nasty attitude they have towards each other that nobody really talks about,
wow.
but it's there.
Yeah.
But like I love in my culture that you know when something bad happens to a family, like say someone passes away or you know
Yeah.
someone's like in need, everybody knows how to come together to bring that person out of that dark space, you know, and help them get
Yeah.
through it. Like, I love that
Mm.
about my culture.
That's beautiful. I
That's
love that
beautiful.
about us. Yeah, we're similar. That's cool.
Yeah.
Husky.
Cyrus? Oh.
Husky.
One thing I really enjoy hearing is when I meet other people and they find out that I'm Islander, I'm Samoan. The one thing that they always say is, "Oh, I knew some Samoans back then," and they would always tell me they were the most humble, respectful people. They always, invited us and embraced us, and I think having that reputation of, being gracious, humbling, and kind is probably one of the biggest things that I really enjoy about it.
Yes.
And
Awesome.
yeah, it's just something that I hear a lot. Despite
Yeah.
a lot of our size and demeanor, as everybody thinks, oh, they're big, they're bad. Majority of it is just it's always positive, and that's something that
Yeah.
I really love hearing about us.
Mm.
Cyrus?
Oh, Jesus.
There's a
My
lot.
ass.
You piece of
Whoa.
shit.
It could be one thing.
Son of a bitch.
Could be multiple. Could be multiple,
Run it straight.
No, there's a lot I love about my culture. As I get older, just learning
Yeah.
more and more about, like even like the history of our queen. Learning the history of about the wars back in the day. And then up until now where now I'm learning about my family, like how far everything goes back. So yeah, I definitely love all of that and the fact that we can still keep that history and that tradition.
Nice.
So I love that a lot. And then yeah, kind of like what Chief said, like the fact that we come together when we need to. Because yeah, we get along now, but growing up, for Samoans, we were really divided. So, the stories of how, bad things got here, in LA, and just for polys in general, we did not get along. So the biggest thing
Wow.
you would hear about back in the day was people always talked about the Tongans and the Samoans,
Yes.
like not
Yeah,
getting
that's a
along.
massive thing here
That's a
too, bro.
big yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
It's still
that's similar.
a thing
Not
on
as
some
bad.
level. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
still a
Yeah.
thing here, but
yeah,
yeah.
but here and it's dying out. That's dying out
Nice.
because
That's cool.
we grew out of that. Like
Yeah.
I love my Tongan people. Like
Yeah.
we're the same people, you know. Our language is just slightly different, but we still look the same. Like I said, all of our ancestors, they stood on the same coast at one time. So,
Yeah.
you know, they're standing on the same coast. So yeah, definitely, you know, just what Chief said, just the fact that we can come together and then things are getting better in that sense where yeah, you know, they just know, you know, seeing our people come together. What about for you guys?
Yeah.
What is it about the Maori culture that you love?
You got to check out.
Oh, you guys can go first.
We
You guys-
usually start from Mato, so Choco, your turn.
Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna quickly do something. My mum is.
Oh, running away! No,
Oh, bring mom on camera. Bring mom on camera. Mom on camera.
Oh, well, I'll start. So, let me know if I'm putting this under the right umbrella, Matua. So, I'd say it's how we manaki each other. So that takes form in many ways. So you have visitors come through and you're looked after. So, you know, so like you got manuhiri coming and they're looked after. There's an issue you can, you know, so like you can help the people in a way too. So like when we had the sort of the housing crisis in 2015 in Auckland, so the marae were the first people to open up and they are helping the people. So manakitanga is sort of like how would you put it, like Mantua? So it's not just helping, it's sort of looking after the people.
I guess like for our Māori people, we understand the meaning of hardship. So that's when you see us at our best in terms of coming together and uniting, you know, especially under common hardship. We tend to go take our care to the next level. It's it's
So
a whole
it's
understanding of we know what you're going through because we're going through it too. So
and it's another ways too, Matua too. So like we look after the you know, so there's our you know, like you go off so like when I was younger, we'll go down, we'll drop the nets, get fish, and we don't just take it home, we drop it off to everyone, sort of thing. You know, you're sort of, you know, we'll smack someone, have a feed, of course, but then like, you know, the kaumatua in the area, oh yeah, they get some you know, some fish and all of that. And it's just like what Matua said, if you're going through the struggles, we know and we sort of look after each other. I sort of put that under manakitanga, but I'm not sure if that's the right umbrella.
Yeah, no, it pretty much is. It's Manakitanga in a nutshell. And 9 times out of 10, like that Manakitanga, oh wait, actually probably more than that. That Manakitanga comes full circle. So, like it always gets passed forward. And then, like when you're going through something, you're more than likely gonna get some sort of support when you least expect it. So, yeah, like
Though they can
people
be a
tend
bit
to
silly
recognize.
sometimes, eh?
Yeah.
So like when you start, you know, like so like when I would go over and I'll drop some fish off at like one of the queer or you know or the kuro's house, they're like, oh yeah, hang on, I got this for you, and then you end up more loaded than what you came in with, and you're like, shit, now am I gonna take this on my bike and go home now?
Right.
But it's just it's manakitanga, but it's in terms it's just the way that we as a people, and I think this is universal, that we look after each other, and you know when there's ways that we can, we do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Choco.
Just in time, Choco.
She's
You
still
got
on mute.
you got to bring mom on stream.
Okay,
You got to
okay,
bring
okay,
mom on
okay.
stream.
Okay, no, all good.
So oh okay. So one thing I love about the Māori culture, well, and this is probably with my teacher hat on, it's the potential of the next generation to do better than what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I love
You
that.
know, I guess like I'm consistently seeing like the kids that are in front of me at school, you know, the teenagers, and some of the things that they come up with and some of the things that they do by far surpass my expectations.
And some of the quality
So
of work, right? I've seen some of it. It's just yeah.
exactly, and so I'm looking at it, with confidence that our culture is going to be sustained, for quite some
Yeah.
time if these people continue to do what we're doing. Um, and but a lot of the kids that are in my classroom are related to me in some way or another. So I look at those kids not as students but as family.
Yeah.
No different to how you would look at your your nieces and nephews, Husky,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to teach them in the same way. And so when I look at these kids, my hopes for the future are very bright, and the fact that I get to take part in their learning is all a part of leaving a legacy behind, so that I know when I leave this world, I feel like I've done something right.
Mm.
You know, and I'm gonna be looking forward to what sort of accomplishments that they have when they become adults, when they become parents, and their kids, and then see what sort of information that they're going to invest into them. To help sustain us as Māori.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that.
so it's everlasting.
Yeah.
I look forward to what the next generation has in store for us as Māori people. That's what I love
Oh
the
yeah.
most.
That's
Right.
beautiful. I believe in it though. Like seeing all like these kids, they're evolving.
Yeah.
Like their brains are evolving. Like they're a lot smarter than I remember.
Mm,
With kids being around, me being a kid and being around others. But yeah, definitely, I 100% agree with you with seeing what the future generations gonna look like. But
yeah,
yeah, no, that's definitely good stuff.
Definitely,
it
them
is.
learning is a lot different now. They're more they're growing up more in a tech world.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
the
Yep.
old school learning the way we did is not
Mm,
really
Gone.
as beneficial as it is,
Yeah.
Well,
for
yeah,
them.
exactly.
could you imagine though, like if we did have Google, like we used to like get away with some mad bullshit, hey? Like
Oh
you just
man.
tell the biggest cap, and no one
Oh
had
man,
any way. Now you can like fact check you on the spot. Just hold
yeah,
up, checking that.
exactly. Well, it's like access to information now has never been easier
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
as what it is
Definitely.
today.
Definitely.
So like that's what I was saying before. Like, I'm close to the point of being made redundant as a teacher because you know probably the place that I get my information from, the kids probably fact check it and say, "Oh no, Matua, we know that you asked Google for the answer to this question. Why? Because we did the exact same thing." So yeah, it's like, yeah. Do I still have a job?
definitely it is kind of a good and bad thing, having all the information online,
Yep.
just for the
Yep.
fact that some people can publish
Manipulate it.
yes
Yeah.
Misinformation, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's we see it every day. There's always
Yeah.
somebody
Mm,
posting some story about some crap, but seems legit. It looks legit, but there's like misinformation within that storyline. So
Here's a good
Yeah.
way. If you fact check, maybe no more than 20 seconds into one of those videos,
uh-huh.
the first few things they say might be true, but like once they start the third, fourth, it's usually cap.
Yeah,
Like you
they're
could
just trying to
tell.
hook you in. They're just trying to hook
yeah.
you in
Yeah.
at first.
So
Yeah.
one strategy that we have around that as Māori is that we do a thing called wānanga. So wānanga is where we like to come together and then we bring all our sources of information together to be able to come up with our own conclusion.
Yeah.
So like we'll have one piece of information or two pieces of information here, and then we have another piece of information that might contradict it. And so what
Mm.
we do is we collectively put our minds together to see, okay, which piece of information are we going to follow, or are we going to follow any of that information at all, or should we follow, our own beliefs in terms of this information over here,
Right.
and let's go that way as a collective. But the thing with that is that most of the time when we do that, we do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like as a collective, this is what we believe. It's not just one person. That way we can always go back to it.
Right.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
It might sound like
That's
it's all
awesome.
together, but like we have varying degrees of whakaaro.
Yep.
Like a lot of
That's
it.
true.
Yeah.
That
Oh
is
yeah.
true.
Whakaaro just means like ideas.
Yeah.
mhm.
Try coming to a conclusion from like maybe 100 different ideas.
Right.
So you got to take 99 out and go with one as a collective. That's the mission.
Definitely.
Before I go into my favorite thing about my culture, Aroha mai, sorry, my mum just had a few things going on in the background. That's why I muted myself. But I just want to pick up on Pork Bone Kids comment about how here in New Zealand we separate Māori from Polynesia, and I just wanted to give a little whakaaro ideas around that. So a
There
lot
was
of
a
my
time, go.
sorry.
Go.
A lot of my Samoan and Tongan or Fijian friends do this now more as a respectful thing. It never usually was. It wasn't. It was separated mostly because of government things and Pākehā. But now my Polynesian friends or my Samoan and Tongan friends do it. First, to pay homage to the fact that we're indigenous to New Zealand. So they may not do this over in America or Australia, but they definitely do it in New Zealand as a more positive thing because we are indigenous to New Zealand. And I think that's the difference. And that's why a lot of my Pacifica friends don't group us in with them. And that's why it's separated, but not in a negative light. And that's how I've grown up to be. So that's why they would separate and be like, oh, but you're Māori, and then of course bunch like Samoan, Tongan, Fijian, or as Polynesian or Pacifica, because of that reasoning.
Yeah.
But
I
I know
would
other
say
people have other experiences.
I would say
Yeah.
for us, being in America, we're all the same. Like we don't
Yeah.
separate each other.
Yeah.
So here's a whakaaro I just picked up recently from Te Hamoa. For anyone who knows Te Hamoa, he actually put out a really good one. He doesn't even like to use the word Polynesian.
Yeah,
because that separates out our Kazis, the Micronesians,
True.
and the Melanesians.
Yeah.
It was a Frenchman. It was a Frenchman who came up with the names to split all of us up.
So he put forward, and I agreed with this idea, his whakaaro, that like, he doesn't call himself Polynesian because that's, he says in his way, that's a Pākehā word. He sees us as people of the moana.
That's
I love
that's
it. I love it.
As a more inclusive term. So that's just a whakaaro that I resonated with just recently. So so that brings in all our Kazis, our Fijian Kazis, and all, the Melanesians, Micronesians. So that's a more inclusive term.
Yeah,
I would think. But yeah, that's just a whakaaro that recently I picked up. I was like, oh, nah, Matua Te Hamoa is on this time.
Oh, I love that. I think I just had another waking up moment with the switch. You're right.
But yeah,
we are using a
that's
term
so true. That's
that
awesome.
was given to us rather than us just calling us what we really were. Cool.
And then
also, I just grew from that. I just grew from that.
That's cool.
I just grew from that.
But yeah, like Z said, like we are all connected, and I think I think it's important to recognize that. But the reason why we separate, well, I know here, is because we are indigenous to this land, and I think if I was in Samoa, I wouldn't group like
you
Samoans.
give
You would give
the mana to the
respect,
tangata whenua,
of that land.
Recognize
so
whose
that's
whenua you're on. Yeah, that's mean. Yeah.
And just before I get into my favorite member, also, like, I'm not too sure if you're aware, and I think Axie was trying to go into it, and it's kind of what I was trying to say before, Cyrus, but we're actually from different iwis. So, and iwis are, I think you could kind of call them like tribes. And then we also have
Right.
like sub-tribes, so
Mm.
smaller tribes than our bigger tribe.
Yeah,
And
so
like
there'll be
not
the groupings of your
Yeah.
family. There'll be the hub group.
groupings of your family and your
Mm.
ancestors, and we had that here in New Zealand as well. And so that's why actually was pointing out that we have different whakaaro, and like we didn't always all agree, and there was plenty, and I'm sure this happened in
Yeah.
Samoa as well. There was plenty wars around like land and like
Yeah.
just different things.
Mm.
So but I think and this comes with my favorite memory. I think the beautiful thing about being Māori is that we have a common, not enemy, but a common understanding, and so therefore those things that separated us before, and although we keep that separation in a way, and it stays beautiful because it makes us authentic to who we are and our ancestors,
Right.
we also come together for our common enemy, which is colonization. And my favorite thing about being Māori is that we are quite a fierce people, and we're very coming with the times. We're very smart. Like even when we were like pre-colonization, I feel like we were very open to change, most of us, and by coming with the times, I mean like introducing ourselves or navigating new spaces. And I guess that comes with this whole like navigator type vibe, navigators of the ocean type thing. But that's why like even with Ngāti Gaming, we're navigating a new space with streaming, with tech, with the metaverse, like things like that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we're open to that, like that is one of my favorite things about being Māori. And we're so fierce and upfront about certain common enemies. Yeah.
I consider
The good
10
thing
in
I've
one
mentioned,
package.
yeah. The good thing about the way,
Yeah, so true.
So like as Choco said, we have a lot of iwi and a lot of different ideas for karo.
Yeah.
Ngāti Gaming is good, is where we don't come across and like, because you might have a different version, and we don't say, because this is what usually starts the conflict. You hear someone's version of something, and then you just bust out with the, oh no, that's bullshit, or no, that's wrong, you know.
Yeah.
But the we do take on each other's whakaaro, and even if we don't agree, we do know that it's it's a safe space to be like Māori and be yourself, and you won't get like, you know, because you're not just telling them that they're wrong, you're telling them that their mum, their nans, you're going back hundreds, thousands of years saying, nah, they're all cap, and then that when they start, you know, trampling on that, then that's when you start getting the old, you know.
Yeah, that's like
mean,
it's seen
that's
as
the way-
super disrespectful.
Yeah.
Probably a good way to define what it is, like even stuff that we're doing right now is cultural evolution. More or less.
Yep.
Well, it's our culture is evolving, and it's evolving in a positive light. So engaging in the digital space, you know, that's a huge part of cultural evolution. Probably reflecting on past experiences like within our culture to be able to move forward. It's another form of cultural evolution.
I think the
but
best thing we're doing in this place too, Matua, is that we're not competing with it; we're using it. You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
usually, you know, if you're on Discord and jamming and streaming, you know, you see everything but culture. But you know, why not use some? Why not, you know, don't fight the tide. You know, use it to help. You know, educate
help each other.
and
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think we haven't touched on Ngāti Gaming enough because that's how we met. So just so you and your viewers know, Ngāti Gaming is pretty much a community and a space and so much more, and it's going to in the future be so much more around gaming, esports, and incorporating Te Reo Māori into this space.
Okay.
But if you saw Taiko in the chat earlier, he is one of the founders of
exactly.
Ngāti Gaming alongside Te Maire. And that's how us three met. So I met Axie and Matua through this community space. And it's a community for everyone, but it's a safe space for Māori, first and foremost, to come together, like discuss ideas, learn more about our culture, learn Te Reo Māori, which Matua's a forefront of, while also creating content, creating career pathways, and and gaming included all in that. So
I love
that's
that.
what Ngāti gaming is and
Yeah.
how we've met.
The as
Yeah.
we touched on, we're not going against technology. It was like, why not make it something that's a positive driving force for it? So,
Right,
big ups
right.
to the guys who, because I would never have met the
Yeah.
Sua Matua native at all if it wasn't for NG. He wouldn't have caught me at a moment of weakness saying, "Oh, do you want to do a podcast?" I think that's something I'd never ever thought I'd ever do. But
Yeah.
he caught me on a day where I thought to myself, you know what, next challenge that comes at me, I'm going to take it. You want something new, you want something different, and he just like read my mind. Oh, do you want to come and do this? I'm like, bruh. But like, I can't make this affirmation to
Yeah.
myself, and then
that like-mindedness.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
here's the other thing, and Choco is like our little sister, pretty much.
Yeah.
Our NG little sister. Her and Carly are like little sister NG.
Right.
As that whole, like I say, bro,
Yeah.
couldn't make us anything, man. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are definitely doing it right. Like,
Hell yeah.
talking to Chaco, before trying to get you guys on the podcast, but just hearing from her, and inviting me to those platforms to where I see everybody kind of uniting and interacting with one another. Like, you guys are doing it right. That's what we all need to do. As far as the communities, but you guys are doing it right.
It's funny you mentioned that, because like, in all honesty, we stumbled onto it by mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think when I found Ngati Gaming, right, I was on there and I felt like an island on myself, because I was like, where are all these other whores? Like, because everyone I met, and this wasn't like downing anyone, everyone I knew on Twitch and that I met were either from the States or the UK.
Yeah.
And as much as like they're really good friends, like they're really good friends, like we're still tight, but like there's something where you connect with your people and they just know, like a lot of it's just like there's a different kind of like you just click.
Right.
Yeah. And then I found all these whores and I haven't left.
One thing I would recommend to you guys, I really recommend this to Cyrus, but I really definitely recommend, like, if you guys have the time, I know times it was a bit funny, but the city for you guys would be an awesome place for you guys to connect.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of New Zealand
island,
because there's a lot of like different cultures, like Pacifica, well, people of the Moana, that's what we're going to say now.
Okay, I'm down with that.
And same with Ngāti Gaming, but more so in the city, and a lot of New Zealand born Samoans as well. So it'd be cool, like, for you guys, I don't know, to see your similarities.
Choco, when you said New Zealand born, when you said New Zealand born Samoan, I could just hear Sam going, "I'm from Christchurch." I'm from Christchurch.
But yeah, they're also another awesome community that do similar things to Ngāti Gaming.
The leader of the city, Sam, he lives in Christchurch, which we consider probably one of the more
it's a world away from South Auckland, So
So it's one of the more European towns in New Zealand, right? Eurocentric. That's what I should call it.
Yeah.
One of the more Eurocentric towns in New Zealand. So yeah, what we do is we call them the Matai of Christchurch. So because like as far as Samoans are in Christchurch, like I think he's
very
like
few.
saying he can count them all on one hand. So, but but in terms of his knowledge, wisdom, and his heart for Samoa and its people,
it's beautiful.
Couldn't find a more humble man in Aotearoa.
Like you guys say.
Yeah,
like you guys say, you guys are humble AF. You guys are, honestly.
No,
so
we
true.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Me, not so much. I only stream because I want money. So
everybody says it all the time.
I say it all the time.
Send me money.
Everybody, if you can, just stop by the chat. Send some bits so it can go straight to my wallet. But we're chill people. We're just like I said, like how we are here on the podcast is how we are in real life.
Yeah.
But it's just beer in one hand and a taco in the other. So yeah, we just.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Sadly, if you come to Aotearoa at all, we don't really do the Mexican food very well.
Not at all.
If you want
Ooh.
Asian,
Do you have
like,
tortillas?
we have them, but like it's very
they're not
As
really.
far as authentic
Oh.
goes, yeah.
yeah.
We
And
can
it's
do
probably,
it. We can do it.
Yeah.
it's probably because of how the food is grown here.
Yeah,
But,
that was so.
yeah.
But if
But
you want
also
like
not as
Asian
spicy
food, if you want
yeah.
like Asian food, we got that.
Yeah,
We
we're
got
pretty
that.
good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And hands
also
down,
our
if
own
you-
food.
look at you, Māori
All
food.
Asian. All
Yeah,
Asian.
our
Oh,
yeah,
hell yeah.
our Māori food will. So I'm not sure if you're aware, and Matua and actually can go, but the second boil is named after a Māori dish called boil up, and it's. Have you ever like
Oh.
it's something, okay, like it's beautiful, and if you ever meet a Māori if you ever meet a Māori, get them to cook you it if they can.
Oh, you'll be
because-
getting it at our house, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're in New
Getting it at
Zealand,
our
some kick.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm hungry now. I've never seen a picture of Maori food.
Yeah, me either.
Oh,
I
Yeah,
have no
yeah,
idea
I
what
think
it
so.
looks like. But
um,
I'm down for food testing.
also
hell
you want
yeah.
seafood as
it's
well.
the same, the
Hey.
opposite, but
Yeah.
I'm ready to put my body on the line.
Let's do it.
Also, yeah, seafood as well is a big thing. Pau and cream, yum, raw fish. I'm sure we try each other's
Right.
raw fish.
I think
Yeah.
that's ceviche in the States, I think.
Yeah.
So, have you ever tried abalone before?
Never heard of
They're
it.
baloney.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a Pakeha name for power.
Power.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a Pakeha name for power.
Yeah. So, have you heard of the word power?
Nope.
no.
Okay, cool. So, do you like seafood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
let's go.
Oh, we love food in general.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to shrimp though.
Oh, unfortunately, but that's
That's
okay.
the only
Then we
thing.
can take it out. Yeah.
I mean, just give me some Benadryl, I'll be fine. My lips just swell up. That's it.
Oh my god. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to be that guy, but I haven't eaten all day, and I need to go eat. So, and I know this is going on 3 hours,
Code
and
red pineapple.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to leave,
you-
and I don't want to end it.
If-
But
The convo has been
Oh.
on though.
If you
Yeah.
guys,
It's all good.
if you guys want, we can set up a part 2.
sounds good. I'm keen.
Ooh.
I think a part 2
How
would
does
be
that sound?
amazing.
How does that sound for you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah, honestly, we've only gotten through the "Who are you? What's your name?" But
Yeah.
That's true.
What
That's
was it
true.
like? Right? What was it like to get beaten?
It's going back and forth, so we're not really,
you can
no.
tell a lot by a person by how much of an ass
They were
whooping they
beaten.
got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah.
So true.
No. We'll
Oh,
definitely.
Choco's not
We're
copping
definitely
a lot of
vibing
love.
here.
We'll set.
Yeah, sorry,
Well,
chat. I'm sorry.
We'll set up a part 2, and we'll
Yeah.
just pick up on food.
Yeah.
Yes,
well,
right where we left
Like-
off.
But then,
Yes.
okay, so leading into it, this is one thing that we do in the second boil. No, before, and it is a food question. Okay. Do we have to ask it? Yes, we have to ask it. Okay.
Yeah, we have to ask it. Yeah.
We have to ask it. Okay. I'm gonna give it to Axie. He can ask.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Husky Cyrus Chief.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your all-time god tier favorite dish?
Ooh.
To
So,
make
like,
or to eat?
To eat. So this is the food where, like, if you know, if you had something in front of you and you saw it, you'll push that away and not going to waste the food, obviously, and then grab that,
Yeah.
you know, and you have to have that. What is the god tier?
And it's
Dish.
only one.
And it's Highlander here. There can be only one.
Yeah.
I'm too
Husky.
fat. There's so much.
Yeah, I've eaten so much good food to choose one.
I don't even know what like region to start with. I mean, I love like authentic lasagna. I love Samoan food, turkey tail especially.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
turkey
Hold on. Hold on.
tail.
I mean,
Whoa.
I
You just
love
pushed me to the
I
islands
love
now.
Mexican food, like straight authentic you know, tacos.
Oh, wait
Man.
till you guys
Go
come
Salvadorian
to
ahead, Terry.
America.
pupusas.
Wait till you
Like
guys come
man,
to America.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we got you.
Yeah,
Hey.
I
Turkey
think we
tails?
I
I
Uni
think we
po-
have to
had
push it.
turkey.
This is your last meal on Earth, guys. You have to pick the
Last
Yeah,
one.
meal.
last.
Yeah.
Only
So
thing, one
you got
thing.
all those dishes in front of you on the table, but you can only choose one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the kawa bangi popo.
Pani
Ooh,
popo.
pani
No
popo.
way.
That's your
You
last meal?
guessed that, Taikawa.
Your last
No
meal?
way.
I'm
That's your
going with it.
last meal?
That's it. I don't care. I'm gonna live life
Boom.
like that.
I like the decisiveness. Let's go.
Yeah, we love that.
I'm going with smoked turkey tail.
I've
Smoked
never had
Ooh.
turkey
tail.
or
You've never
turkey
had turkey
tail.
tail?
Turkey
No.
tail.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
we
turkey
got you.
tail is
Oh man.
oh
Oh, but once you have it smoked, it changes your life.
I've
Yeah.
had it smoked.
I grew up having it
Ooh.
one way, just regular
Grilled.
how they cook it in the oven on or grilled.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
have an uncle who smoked it for like 7-8 hours. Changed my life.
Ooh.
That's
Yum.
the best food I've ever eaten.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds
cool.
delicious.
That and a wagyu steak, but I'll choose a turkey tail.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you got, Chief?
I don't know, man. I'd have to say, dude, honey biscuits with sausage gravy.
Oh,
Bro,
Oh.
I'll never get tired of that. I can eat that all the time.
okay, I'm
What
hungry
was that?
now.
One more time. That
Yeah, I'm
sounded
hungry.
good. Repeat that, please.
Oh, honey biscuits with sausage gravy.
Oh, yum.
I need to
Bro, I
try
can.
that.
Oh, we need to look that up.
Yeah. See, now
Yeah?
we're
Oh,
in
yeah.
this situation now.
Can we come to America? Can we go see?
Oh, if you guys come to America,
We'll do
we're
a food tour.
sending you back 50
Yeah.
50
Food
pounds.
tour. Food tour.
heavier.
Oh, yo, IRL food tour. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh man.
Ooh. You know that goes both ways, right? So when you come
Yeah.
to New Zealand, we got you.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
don't
yeah.
worry.
We got
Hell
you.
yeah.
I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
Not gonna say no.
Yeah.
Let's-
Yeah.
But
And yeah,
Oh,
no, you're right. You go back like what's 50 pounds? Like maybe 20 kgs,
That's like
25
20
kgs?
kilo. Yeah, that's like
Yeah,
your
yeah,
whole
yeah,
20
no, no.
luggage.
So that's your breakfast. We'll give
You
you
go
another
back on that
about
extra.
10 kgs on top of that. Yeah.
I
She
love how
should
we've been
just hit on a
converting the
Saturday.
whole
Yeah.
stream.
Sweet.
I think
I
that's
swear,
the
like,
If you're here on a
Yeah.
Saturday morning, we're going to the Aotearoa flea market. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to say, the first time that I met Exy, he put me in 5 food comas. 5 food comas
Oh.
in a weekend.
Damn.
So yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah.
it just goes to show his manakitanga or his care is on point.
Oh,
Yeah, I can vouch
Man.
for that.
Shut the bolt.
But yeah, sweet.
wow.
Damn.
But no, this has been a good part 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
3
thank you guys.
hours deep. 3 hours deep, guys.
Crazy.
Wow. And we still have
Yeah.
so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
We can
Right.
organize
Definitely,
something.
definitely.
Yeah,
I know
we'll get
everyone's pretty busy. Yeah, we'll get it done, but I know everyone's busy. But we'll eventually get a part 2, guys. Don't worry,
Yeah.
chat. I know you guys are hating on me because I'm ending it, but
it. But
Oh,
no, yeah, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. I'm definitely tapping in every time I see you guys stream.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Everybody in our chat, go follow these guys. Show them some love.
Like he's actually
Same
thought
here
of
with our
us.
whānau. Yeah.
Yo, like we think we're no one on the side, and that he's actually thought of us.
Oh, you were the
Oh,
first.
man. Oh, it was amazing to hear you guys talk.
You three
Thank you.
were the first ones I ever thought of to bring
Hell
on.
yeah.
Hey, you should have heard the conversation.
We said, okay, growing up Islander Aotearoa, and I was like, second boil. Like,
New Zealand.
Look, nobody
Hell
else.
yeah.
Nobody else. Second boil.
Everything else,
Alright.
everything else, we
Alright.
kind of hesitated.
Yeah, I feel so like yo, that's massive to like to me. I thought we were just like talking amongst ourselves with like maybe my mum and his mum watching, like maybe a nan there, and like not that anyone from overseas would even look at anything that we do. So like again, yeah, thank you for having us on and reaching out, and we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Sounds good.
So
Oh, go
People
ahead.
in our chat were asking for a weekly segment. We're busy out here, guys. I'm sorry. Like
yeah,
from you, from both of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no
mean,
worries. But before we
hey,
end,
so
oh, go.
yeah, no, I was just thinking the same thing before we end. Not just an idea. Okay, should we find a lucky person who we can like
Raid
both
together.
raid? Yeah, we'll do a double raid.
Oh, let's do
How's
it.
that sound?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So
Um,
okay, is it
I mean, do you guys have
rock
anyone
paper
in mind?
scissors?
Yeah. Okay. So the thing, I've got someone in mind only because he's Samoan, right? So that
Okay.
represents
Yes.
the VybeTrybe side, but
Okay.
Yeah.
he's from he's in New Zealand, so that represents our side.
Hey.
So
Yeah, bro, let's
Yeah.
Oh,
go.
let's get
Let's
it.
go.
All right.
Lock it in
Um,
for us, Choco. Who is it?
All right, type it in our chat.
Yeah, put it in
the
our chat.
first
So I
person
can...
I saw on, which was Samoan Hoaxer. I'm sorry.
That's
That
Yeah.
was
Hoaxer, I
yeah,
follow
yeah.
him.
Samoan Hoaxer.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
cool.
I follow.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Cool.
follow him.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
gonna double raid Samoan Hoaxer. Is that cool?
Yeah, I
Hell
follow
yeah.
him already. Yeah.
Yeah, we follow him.
So have you
Okay.
got an
Cool.
outro before you exit your podcast?
Oh, we just play our music, but we can do this now.
Alright. So usually with our outro what we do is we get everyone to do shout outs and then I'll finish off with an exit and then we'll rate this together. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Shoot
Let's
it.
do that.
Shoot
Let's
it.
do that. Okay. Go Choco.
I just want to shout out to chat. Honestly, it's been a vibe. I appreciate you guys. It's been funny. I want to make a special mention. I usually don't do this, but just for kicks, bro, your questions. Oh, I just could not stop laughing. Thank you. They were a vibe. Taikawa and Timairi, I know you guys are busy, so it was really cool that you guys came along to support the kaupapa and everyone else that is here. Shout out to NG and to all the communities that came in. The Huaverse, as we like to call it. Thanked our hosts slash interviewees, but mostly hosts of VybeTrybe. You guys, Pacific Chief, Cyrus, and Husky. Thank you guys. It's been amazing, and I'm so
Man.
grateful that you guys brought us on.
Of course, anytime.
I'll make this
Axie on
one
you.
quick. So again, chat. And I'm just going to talk about just for kicks. He went straight to mattress room when he you mentioned him, right. We will bring up the mattress room on part 2.
Yeah, and we'll let you guys know about that.
But chat is absolute. Who was
Definitely.
Jam and Seek? I saw you. Like he's
Yeah.
always turn up. He's always make it like fun. Like they're gamers. They try to crack us. So thanks
Yeah.
for coming through. I got to thank NG and Taikawa
Shout
Tumairi. I see you there, Whānau. Shot for the support. So we have NG, the VybeTrybe. Thanks for reaching out and
No problem.
and spending this time because time can't get that back. So thank you for reaching out to us and having a good chat. The OCE, whoever, I saw you popping in and commenting. So thanks for your support there. And that's it from me.
It's on to you, my bro. Shout outs.
Okay. First off, I want to shout you guys out. Thank you guys so much for agreeing to this. And I know we asked you guys in advance, so I appreciate you guys being able to make the time to sit here with us and just chop it up for the most part. Our viewers as well. Anytime we go live, they're always coming in and supporting us. Your viewers as well, because they were coming over and dropping us a follow as well. So thank you guys. I'm just really appreciative for everything, all the support we get from across social medias to people being able to tune in live and check us out.
On to you, Chief.
So of course, like I said, big shout out to you guys. I really loved hearing you guys talk about everything. Like I love to listen to people talk about the experiences and what they go through. Big shout out to Husky. This is our operator right here. He runs everything behind the scenes. He keeps everything up. And then, big shout out to everybody who came through to the streams, who continues to come to the streams, keep supporting us, your viewers, our viewers, everybody. And yeah.
On to you, Cyrus.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank you guys. Shout out to you guys for coming on. You know, like I said, the second we thought of creating this series, I didn't think of anyone else. I knew you three would educate us on the things we didn't know. Go over things that we were a little familiar with. But for you to do that, we appreciate you so much. For all your viewers who came in and in your chat and were just asking questions, we appreciate that a lot. It lets us know that they're in tune with what we're doing, and that they're interested. And then everybody in our chat, thank you so much for rocking with us. This idea of a podcast just started from a conversation. It was just a random conversation, and next thing you know, we turned the camera on, and we've been here ever since. Thank you guys so much, my brothers on the VybeTrybe. Thank you for sticking with it, man. Like, we've come a long way. That banner behind Husky, we're making banners now, and and then Chief's wearing a sweater that has his name on it. His name on it.
Let's
On
go.
his
Let's
back,
go.
it says VybeTrybe. Like, that stuff
Right,
is
Chief, stand up.
beautiful.
Oh
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, look at the back. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
go.
Share the patch.
But yeah, just to see our growth and everybody to stick with us. Thank you so much. And then pretty much everybody who supports me through the music. I've been doing music for 19 years, and I'm still pushing. I added the VybeTrybe onto a list of other things that that I do, but my heart's in this. I appreciate you guys for coming on, and again, just thank you. I wish you well. Continued success with your guys' podcast and streaming, and as well as building the community that you're doing. It's well wishes to you guys, to both physical and mental health. But yeah, thank you so much. We love and appreciate you guys.
New whānau. Well, yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay. So hey, feel you on the pitch. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. So always good to represent. But so if you don't mind, usually I don't like to repeat what's already happened with the other two. Because otherwise we just end up shouting out the same people over and over again. But I tend to do my shout outs in Te Reo Māori to reinforce what they've already said.
Do it.
So, ka te ake, tēnei rā ka tuku i ngā mihi ki a koutou i aku rangatira, no Hāmoa, e noho ana ki Amerika. Koutou anō e pōkai kaha ana ki te whakamanati i tō koutou kaupapa ki runga i tēnei hōtaka o te whakapāho. Koutou anō e whai kaha ana ki te aki o koutou i o koutou iwi, te iwi Hāmoa. Kia tuku i ngā mihi nui rarawa atu ki a koutou o tira ki a rātou. Tai noa ki aku hoa e whakapāho nei. Actually, Choco, ngā mihi ki a kōrua mo tōku rua tautoko. Hoki mai anō ki a koutou e Husky, Cyrus, Chief, ngā mihi kauana ki a koutou mea o koutou whānau. Ko te tumanako ka whai oranga, ka whai kaha, ka whai maia, no ngā tū āhuatanga ki runga i a koutou. Tai noa ki ngā kai mātakitaki ki runga i te whakapāho nei, koutou e tiro mai, e kōrero mai, e ui mai, e o koutou pātai hei tautoko i te kaupapa o te koropupu tuarua o tira me te VybeTrybe hoki, ngā mihi kia koutou. Tai noa ki a tātou katoa ki runga i tēnei kaupapa e mātakitaki ana. Tēnā koutou, Cho bro, please take a photo. Koira tātou, that is us whānau, and we are about to go and raid Samoan Hulkster. Choo.
says, here's our price. We're paid with these men's lives.